The sages of old taught us not what to do, but who to become. They knew that 1,000 rituals performed with an empty heart are but dust in the wind, while a single moment of true understanding can realign the entire cosmos. They saw that humanity was not lost, but merely sleeping, dreaming, a dream of separation, a dream of lack, a dream of a God that lived somewhere outside the temple of their own skin. We have inherited this dream. We perform the rituals of the modern world with meticulous precision. The ritual of ambition, climbing ladders that lean against the wrong walls. The ritual of consumption, filling a void that has no physical dimensions. The ritual of distraction, drowning out the sacred silence with meaningless noise. We have learned the steps, memorized the lines, and played our parts so well that we have forgotten the actor, the silent consciousness watching from behind the eyes. But a part of you remembers, a quiet, persistent whisper beneath the clamor of your thoughts. It is the reason you are here, listening to these words right now. It is the echo of your own truth, calling you home. What if the freedom you seek is not something you must earn through struggle, but something you must simply remember? What if the peace you crave is not a distant destination to be reached after a long and arduous journey, but a space within you, waiting to be discovered, right here, right now? This is not a journey to add more to you. It is not another map to study, another set of rules to follow. This is a journey of undoing, a journey inward, a quiet undressing of the soul. We will gently peel back the layers of identity, the cloaks of belief, the armor of fear that you have mistaken for yourself. We will walk past the gatekeepers of the mind and enter the silent chamber of the heart, where the only truth that matters resides. There is nothing here to fix. There is no one you need to become. The work is not in the striving, but in the seeing. The transformation is not in the action, but in the awareness. So breathe. Let go of the search. Allow these words to be a sound, a frequency, a vibration that awakens the memory of who you have always been, beneath all the noise, beneath all the rituals. The journey has already begun with the simple, sacred act of listening. Breathe in and out. Have you ever felt it? A gentle, persistent hum of untruth beneath the surface of your days. It is not a loud alarm, not a dramatic crisis. It is something far more subtle and far more pervasive. It is the feeling of wearing clothes that are exquisitely made but do not quite fit. It is the faint but constant echo of a stranger's voice in your own thoughts. It is a quiet homesickness for a place you cannot name. This feeling is not a flaw in your design. It is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of awakening. It is the first tremor of consciousness recognizing that the life you are living, the one you have been told is yours, is in fact a performance. You have been handed a script. It is a script written in invisible ink, handed to you at birth, its pages woven into the very fabric of your upbringing. It was not given to you with malice, but with love, with the best of intentions, by a world that was also following its own script. This document has no formal title, but its contents are known to all of us. Chapter 1. The Education. Learn the facts, but not how to question. Absorb the answers, but do not sit with the mystery. Collect the degrees as badges of worth, proof that you have been properly initiated into the world of form. Chapter 2. The Career. Ascend the ladder. Do not ask where the ladder leads, or who built it, just climb. Measure your value by your title, your progress by your income. See your life as a project to be managed, a series of goals to be achieved, each one promising a satisfaction that evaporates the moment it is grasped. Chapter 3. The Relationship. Find the one who completes you, for the script tells you that you are incomplete on your own. Follow the prescribed arc of romance, partnership, family. Build a beautiful home, a nest, and fill it with objects that testify to your success, your taste, your adherence to the plot. These are not inherently wrong things. A home can be a sanctuary, a career can be a calling, a relationship can be a sacred union. But the script reduces them to rituals, to empty checkboxes, on a list for a happy life. It turns the sacred art of living into a paint-by-numbers canvas. You are told to feel joy at the wedding, pride at the promotion, contentment in the quiet suburban street. And so you try. You arrange your face into the correct expression. You speak the expected lines. You perform the role of the successful professional, the loving partner, the content citizen. You become a masterful actor in the play of your own life. So masterful, in fact, that the audience gives you a standing ovation. Your parents are proud, your friends are envious, society nods in approval. You have followed the script perfectly. But then, late at night, when the applause has faded and the theater is dark, the feeling returns. The hum of untruth. A hollow space behind your ribs that no amount of success or love or possessions can seem to fill. The weight of this performance is immense. It is the exhaustion of constantly managing a persona, of curating a self. It is the brittle tension of holding up a mask, terrified that a single crack might reveal the vast, unknown emptiness behind it. This is the weight of invisible scripts. It is the burden of lines you did not write, of motivations that are not your own, of a plot that leads somewhere your soul has no desire to go. You are the director, the lead actor, and the exhausted stagehand, all at once, in a production you never auditioned for. And then, one day, a crack appears. It rarely happens in a moment of high drama. It happens in the quiet spaces in between. Perhaps you are stirring your coffee, watching the morning light filter through the window, and for a single silent second, you forget who you are supposed to be. The name, the job, the history, all of it falls away. And in that spaciousness, there is a profound peace. Or perhaps you are looking in the mirror, really looking past the familiar face into the eyes, and you see a stranger looking back at you, a captive consciousness peering out from a prison of identity. A line is spoken, a phrase you have said 1,000 times, and it suddenly sounds hollow in your own ears, a borrowed sentiment. A choice is presented to you, the next logical step in the script, and a powerful, silent no rises from a depth you did not know you possessed. This is the moment of grace. This is the moment the spell begins to break. It is the point where the actor on the stage hears the faint whisper from the true self in the audience. It is the beginning of remembering. The recognition of the script is the first, most crucial step toward freedom. You cannot leave a prison you do not know you are in. You cannot put down a script you do not realize you are holding. But once you see it, once you feel its weight, its artifice, its profound inauthenticity, you can never fully unsee it. The world may look the same, but you are forever changed. The questions begin to bubble up, not from the calculating mind, but from the awakening heart. Whose desires am I chasing? Whose fears am I living? Whose voice is this that narrates my every thought with such authority? If this is not my story, then what is? The script promised certainty. It offered a clear path, a defined role, a predictable ending. But in its place, you are now faced with a vast, terrifying, and exhilarating emptiness. The stage is bare, the audience is gone. The old lines have turned to ash in your mouth. Do not fear this emptiness. It is not a void, it is a sacred space. It is the fertile ground from which a true life can finally grow. To recognize the script is to reclaim the pen. It is to declare with quiet courage that you will no longer be a character in someone else's story. You will become the author of your own. This recognition is not an end, but a beginning. It is an initiation into a deeper reality. You have pulled back the first curtain, but as you stand in this new uncertain space, a temptation arises. The mind, afraid of the unknown, immediately begins to search for a new script, a better one, a more spiritual one. It looks for a new map, and so the journey leads us from the recognition of the false to the search for the true. A search that carries its own beautiful, subtle traps. The old script lies in tatters at your feet, and in the silence, a new question arises. a question born not from the script, but from the soul. If I am not this, then what am I? And where, in this vast and uncharted wilderness, do I begin to look for the truth? The old script lies in pieces at your feet. In the vast, silent space that follows its disintegration, a new impulse arises, born of the mind's profound discomfort with the unknown. It is the impulse to search. Having abandoned one set of instructions, the mind immediately craves another. It seeks a new authority, a better system, a more authentic script. And so begins the great collection of maps. We trade the script of society for the script of spirituality. We turn from the marketplace of commerce to the marketplace of ideas. We gather books like firewood for a long winter. We listen to talks, we attend workshops, we absorb philosophies. The Bhagavad Gita, the Tao Te Ching, the words of mystics and sages, ancient and new. Even these very words you are hearing now. They are all maps, beautiful, intricate, and venerable maps drawn by those who have walked the territory themselves, but they are not the territory. And this is the most subtle and most profound of all human fallacies. Imagine a man who spends his entire life in a library that contains only one book, a vast and exquisitely detailed map of a mythical forest. He studies it obsessively. He learns the name of every stream, the contour of every hill, the location of every ancient tree. He can trace the path of the sun bear. He can point to the clearing where the wild orchids are said to bloom. He knows the cartographer's symbols by heart. He can debate the nuances of the topography with other scholars of the map. He is celebrated for his knowledge. He feels a deep sense of security, of mastery. He is the master of the map. But he has never set foot in the forest. He has never felt the rough, damp bark of the pine tree against his palm. He has never had his breath stolen by the startling blue of a morpho butterfly as it flits across a sunbeam. He has never smelled the rich, loamy scent of the earth after a sudden downpour. He has never known the humbling, cathedral-like silence of the forest at dusk, a silence so deep it feels like the heartbeat of the world itself. He knows the word river, but he does not know the shocking, life-affirming embrace of its cold current. He knows the symbol for mountain, but he has never felt the burn in his lungs from the climb, nor the majestic awe of seeing the world spread out beneath him from the summit. The man knows everything about the forest, yet he knows nothing of it. He has mistaken the description of the meal for the meal itself. We, as seekers, are often this man. We collect spiritual concepts as he collects topographical details. We decorate the walls of our mind with beautiful ideas, non-duality, vibrational energy, the higher self, surrender, presence, oneness. We learn the new vocabulary. We can quote Rumi, we can discuss the finer points of Zen, we can explain the law of attraction. The ego, which once prided itself on its career title or its financial success, now finds a new, more refined identity. It becomes the spiritual, intellectual. The collecting of maps becomes the new, sophisticated ritual. Reading the books, listening to the talks, even meditating according to a specific technique can become a performance. It is an act to convince ourselves and others that we are on the path, that we are doing the work. We measure our progress by how many concepts we understand, rather than by the depth of peace we actually feel in our own skin. We are polishing the signpost, admiring its craftsmanship, but we are not walking the road it points to. The danger of the map is its seductiveness. It gives the mind what it craves: structure, definition, and a sense of control. The map is safe. The territory is wild. The map is fixed. The territory is alive and constantly changing. The map is an object you can hold, study, and possess. The territory possesses you. To cling to the map is to remain in the realm of the known, the comfortable prison of the intellect. It allows you to feel spiritual without ever having to be vulnerable, without ever having to face the raw, unpredictable, and sometimes terrifying reality of your own direct experience. the map can become the ultimate barrier to the very destination it depicts. There is a profound difference between knowledge and knowing. Knowledge is of the mind. It is second-hand information, gathered from outside yourself. It is the map. Knowing is of the soul. It is a direct, first-hand, cellular experience. It is the territory. Knowledge can describe the taste of honey. Knowing is the sweetness dissolving on your tongue. Knowledge can explain the physics of light. Knowing is the warmth of the sun on your closed eyelids. You can have a library full of knowledge about love, but it will not compare to a single moment of true, open-hearted knowing of it. The entire spiritual journey is a pilgrimage from knowledge to knowing. It is the process of letting your own experience become the ultimate authority, the only sacred text that truly matters. This is not to say that the maps are worthless. They are invaluable. A good map can inspire you to begin the journey. It can assure you that a territory exists beyond the sterile confines of your current life. It can give you a general direction, a sense of what to look for. The words of the sages are fingers pointing to the moon. They are a great gift. The fallacy is not in looking at the finger, but in mistaking it for the moon itself. A good map does not ask to be worshipped. It asks to be used, to be tested against the terrain, and then, when the time is right, to be folded and put away. It is an invitation, not a destination. So how do we begin? How do we take that first trembling step off the edge of the paper and onto the living soil of our own being? We must have the courage to be a beginner. We must be willing to admit, "I do not know," not as a statement of ignorance, but as a sacred portal to direct experience. The mind will protest. It will scream that without a map, you will be lost. It will tell you that the wilderness is dangerous. Your task is to thank the mind for its concern, for its desire to protect you, and then to gently disregard its advice. You must put down the maps, just for a moment, quiet the intellect that clings to them, and learn to consult a different kind of guide. A guide that was not given to you, but was born with you. A guide that does not speak in words or concepts, but in the silent, unerring language of feeling. It is time to stop reading about the forest and learn to read the compass that has been inside you all along. The maps are laid aside, their intricate lines and symbols receding into the background. The frantic search for an external authority, for a new script, begins to subside. In this quiet space between what you were and what you are becoming, a new sense of perception is required. We have been trained our entire lives to look outward for direction, to listen for instructions from parents, teachers, bosses, and gurus. Now, we must learn to do the exact opposite. We must turn our gaze inward. We must learn not to think, but to feel. You do not need to acquire a new skill. You only need to remember an ancient one. For you were born with a flawless, internal, navigational instrument. It is not located in your thinking mind, which is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. It resides in the silent, feeling awareness of your body, in the very aliveness that animates you. This is the compass within. Imagine a captain on the vast, unpredictable ocean. Imagine this captain trying to navigate by drawing a detailed map of every single wave that rises and falls. He would need to measure the height, speed, and direction of each swell, calculating their infinite and chaotic interactions. The task would be impossible. He would be driven to madness by the sheer, overwhelming, and ultimately meaningless detail. His ship would be rudderless, tossed about by the very phenomena he was so desperately trying to control. This frantic captain is the thinking mind, trying to navigate life by analyzing every event, every emotion, every possible outcome. It is a recipe for anxiety and exhaustion. Now imagine another captain. She does not concern herself with the precise shape of every wave. She accepts that the ocean is, by its very nature, dynamic and uncontrollable. The storm may rage, the fog may descend, but she is not lost. Periodically, she glances at a simple, elegant instrument on her console, the compass. It does not offer a detailed prediction of the journey. It does not eliminate the storm. It does not promise calm seas. It offers something far more valuable, a constant, unwavering orientation, a single, reliable truth amidst the chaos. North is always north. The needle holds steady, regardless of the turmoil on the surface. Her job is not to control the ocean, but to align her vessel with that steady, silent needle. Your pure, non-judgmental awareness is this compass. The chaotic waves are the circumstances of your life, the ever-changing thoughts, emotions, relationships, and events. The thinking mind is the frantic cartographer trying to map it all. Your true work is not to map the waves, but to attune to the silent, steady needle of the compass within. But how does this compass speak? Do not listen for a voice. Do not look for a sign written in the clouds. Its language is far more primary, more subtle, and more truthful than words. It is the language of energy. It speaks in the binary code of the soul, expansion and contraction. When a thought, a choice, a person, or a path is in alignment with your deepest truth, with your north, you will feel a subtle sense of expansion in your body. It can feel like openness, lightness, relief, or a quiet, resonant yes that hums in your cells. There is a sense of flow, of ease, even if the path itself is challenging. Conversely, when something is out of alignment, your body will communicate a no. It does so not with anger or judgment, but with a feeling of contraction, a tightness in the chest, a knot in the stomach, a subtle clenching, a feeling of density, of wrongness. It is a feeling of resistance, of energy draining away. This is your guidance system. It is utterly simple, and it has been with you every moment of your life. The mind can be deceived. It can be conditioned, persuaded, and argued with. But the body cannot lie. Its energetic response is instantaneous and pure. The challenge is that we have been taught to ignore it. We have been trained to override the quiet, contracting no from our gut because a choice makes logical sense on paper. We have been taught to dismiss the expansive, joyful yes in our heart because it seems impractical or risky. We have abandoned the compass in favor of the map. Let us try just for a moment to feel it. Wherever you are, allow your awareness to descend from the attic of your mind, that busy control tower of thoughts, analysis, and commentary. Let it drop down through your throat, your chest, into the center of your being. Bring your attention to your hands. Without moving them, can you feel that they are there? Can you feel a subtle tingling, a faint vibration, a sense of aliveness within them? Now let that awareness of aliveness spread throughout your body. This is not a thought. It is a direct sensation. This is the raw data of the compass. This is the energy that expands and contracts. Now, gently, without force, bring to mind something or someone you love unconditionally. It could be a person, a pet, a place in nature. Just hold that image or feeling in your awareness. Do not analyze it. Simply feel the echo it creates in your body. Do you notice a subtle warmth, an opening in your chest, a softening? That is the feeling of yes. That is the needle pointing north. Now, let that go, and just as gently, bring to mind a situation that creates stress or discomfort for you. A difficult conversation you need to have, a past regret, a source of anxiety. Again, do not get lost in the story. Just observe the immediate physical, energetic response. The subtle tightening, the sinking feeling, the slight chill. That is the feeling of no. That is the needle pointing away from your truth. See? The compass is always working. It is functioning perfectly. You have just forgotten how to read it. Learning to trust this inner guidance is the first great act of spiritual rebellion. It is the beginning of Chan Tin, of right faith. But this is not faith in an external God or a set of doctrines. It is an unwavering trust in the wisdom of the life force that flows through you. It is the faith that says, I have a source of truth within me that is more reliable than any outer authority. The compass will often contradict the map drawn by society. It will lead you away from the well-trodden, sensible path. It will ask for a courage that the mind calls foolishness. It will ask you to choose the feeling of expansion over the promise of security. It will ask you to honor the quiet no in your gut over the loud yes of popular opinion. You have found the compass. You have felt its subtle, powerful signal. It is your birthright, but there is a reason you have not been listening to it all your life. There is a storm of noise, a relentless inner monologue that constantly seeks to drown out its quiet guidance. It is the noise of your own undisciplined mind. And to truly and consistently navigate by this inner compass, we must first learn to relate to this storm, not as an enemy to be fought, but as a weather pattern to be understood and transcended. You have felt the compass. You have sensed its quiet, unerring signal, the gentle pull toward your own true north. And yet, the moment you try to listen to it for any length of time, another presence makes itself known. It is a voice, a constant, chattering, incessant narrator of your life. It comments, it judges, it worries, it remembers, it plans. It is never, ever silent. It is the voice that is speaking to you right now, not these words, but the commentary about these words. It is the voice that tells you who you are, what you should do, and what to be afraid of. This is the thinking mind, and for most of us, it has become a tyrant. It is a tyrant, not through a violent coup, but through a case of mistaken identity so profound that it has become the very foundation of our civilization. You have come to believe that you are the voice in your head. You have mistaken the tool for the user, the commentary for the consciousness, the thought for the thinker. This is the greatest illusion known to humankind, the root of all inner conflict, and the source of the static that drowns out the signal of your inner compass. To understand this tyranny, let us use a metaphor. Imagine your mind as a brilliant and talented king. He is a master strategist, a gifted architect, a keeper of meticulous records. He can analyze, categorize, solve problems, and plan with breathtaking skill. He built the bridges and designed the cities of your life. He can learn languages, compose music, and probe the mysteries of the universe. For this, the king is to be honored. He is a magnificent instrument, but this king was never meant to rule the empire alone. Left on the throne without the guidance of a higher wisdom, his incredible talents curdle into pathologies. His strategic nature turns to paranoia. His ability to analyze turns to relentless judgment. His memory becomes a library of grievances. He sees threats in every shadow, potential disasters around every corner. His primary motivation is no longer creation, but self-preservation, which in the realm of the mind always translates to fear. His motto becomes, what if? What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if I get sick? What if I run out of money? He builds walls around the heart to protect it, but these walls become a prison, keeping out love as much as pain. He governs from a place of perpetual, low-grade emergency. But you are not the king. Your true nature is that of the silent emperor who watches the king from a higher balcony. The emperor is the vast, still, silent awareness within which the king's frantic activity takes place. The emperor is the sky. The king and his thoughts are the clouds. The emperor's power is not in action, but in presence. Not in speaking, but in listening. The tragedy is that the emperor has fallen asleep, forgotten his own nature, and dreamed that he is the frantic, paranoid king. You have become so identified with the activity of your mind that you have forgotten the silent space of being in which it all occurs. The king maintains his tyrannical rule through one primary mechanism, the creation and manipulation of time. The thinking mind cannot exist without the concepts of past and future. It is a relentless time traveler, and it steals your life by constantly pulling you away from the only time that is ever real, the present moment. It is a tireless archaeologist, constantly digging up the bones of the past. It shows you old, grainy films of your mistakes, your embarrassments, your moments of pain. It whispers, "Remember when you failed. That is who you are." It creates your entire identity from a collage of old memories, a story. It defines you by what has been, shackling your present moment to a narrative that is already over. When it is not dwelling in the morgue of the past, it is living in the fantasy world of the future. It is a frantic fortune teller, projecting endless scenarios onto the blank screen of tomorrow. Most of these scenarios are rooted in fear, elaborate horror films of what could go wrong. And even the positive scenarios are a trap, for they create a state of not yet. Peace will come when I get the promotion. Happiness will arrive when I find a partner. I will be able to relax when I finish this project. It makes the present moment an obstacle to be overcome, a mere stepping stone to a future that never actually arrives. Because when it does, it is simply another present moment that the mind wants to escape. And so, between the heavy anchor of yesterday and the anxious pull of tomorrow, the present moment is crushed. It becomes a thin, almost non-existent sliver of time. Life is happening now. The warmth of the sun is now. The feeling of your breath is now. The person you love is in front of you now. But you are not here for it. You are lost in the mental cinema of past and future. The tyrant has stolen your kingdom, not by force, but by distraction. Thoughts themselves are not the problem. They are impersonal, energetic events that arise and pass away in consciousness, like clouds drift across the sky. They are not personal commands. They are not absolute truths. A thought is simply a thought. The tyranny begins with the next step, belief, identification. You mistake yourself for a cloud. You believe every thought is a personal directive, a truth about you and your world. The thought, "I am not good enough," arises, and because you believe you are your thoughts, you experience it as a fundamental reality, a verdict on your very existence. This unconscious belief is the chain that binds you to the tyrant. To live under this rule is to live in a state of chronic anxiety, fragmentation, and exhaustion. It is to feel a constant sense of separation from others, from nature, and most painfully, from yourself. It is to feel like a passenger in your own life, driven by a compulsive, fearful narrator you cannot silence. So what can be done? The first impulse is to fight, to try to stop the thoughts, to argue with the voice, to force the mind into submission. This is the path of futility. To fight the king is to give him exactly what he wants, a battle. To argue with him is to descend to his level of conflict and validate his importance. He feeds on resistance. If you try to suppress a thought, it will push back with 3 times the force. The revolution against this tyrant is not a war. It is a quiet rebellion of awareness. So, if we cannot fight the tyrant, how do we depose him? You do not need to overthrow the king. You simply need to withdraw your belief in his absolute authority. You cease to be his loyal, terrified subject, and remember that you are the silent, spacious emperor. You stop participating in the drama and begin to simply watch the play. You pull your awareness back from the content of your thoughts and rest it in the simple fact of your own consciousness. This is the beginning of true freedom. It is not an action, but a shift in identity. It is the subtle, powerful, and liberating art of sacred observation. The revolution does not begin with a sword, but with a gaze. The path to freedom from the tyranny of the mind is not through a bloody battle, but through the gentle, unwavering, and courageous act of watching. This is the art of sacred observation. It is the most powerful, transformative practice available to a human being, and it requires no special posture, no mantra, no incense. It demands no fee and needs no guru. It only requires your willingness to see what is already here. It is the practice of becoming the silent witness to the movie of your own mind. Sacred observation is to watch the ceaseless activity of your inner world without getting entangled in its drama. It is to notice thoughts as they arise, emotions as they swell, and sensations as they flicker, all without judgment, without criticism, and without the urgent need to do anything about them. It is the highest form of intelligence, for instead of reacting blindly from within the chaos, you respond with the wisdom of one who sees the whole pattern. It is the shift from being a character in the play to being the audience. To understand this, picture yourself sitting on the soft, mossy bank of a wide, slowly moving river. The air is calm, the sun is gentle on your skin. You are at perfect peace. Now, see that leaves of all shapes and colors are floating down the river. Each leaf represents a thought, a feeling, or a memory that arises in your mind. Some are bright green and vibrant, a creative idea, a joyful memory, a feeling of love. Some are dark, withered, and brittle, a worry about the future, a judgment against yourself, a flicker of old resentment. For most of your life, you have not been on the bank, you have been in the river. When a dark, ugly leaf floats by a thought like "I'm not good enough," you instinctively jump into the cold water. You wrestle with the leaf, trying to drown it, to push it under the surface, believing that if you can just destroy it, you will be at peace. But you only succeed in exhausting yourself and getting swept further downstream. When a beautiful golden leaf floats by a thought of a future success, a moment of praise, you also jump into the river. You grasp it, cling to it, terrified of letting it go. You try to hold it still, but the current is relentless. In your effort to possess the pleasant thought, you create anxiety and tension, and you are just as lost in the river as when you were fighting the ugly leaf. In either case, you are no longer on the bank. You are in the river. You are wet, you are struggling, and you are being carried away by a current you cannot control. This is the state of identification. The art of sacred observation is the art of learning to stay on the bank. Your practice is simply this: to remain seated in the quiet stillness of your own awareness and watch the river flow. A leaf of worry floats by. You see it clearly. You might even name it, worry, and then you let it continue on its way. You do not jump in. A leaf of intense excitement appears. You see it. You acknowledge its vibrant energy. Excitement, and you let it float by. You do not need to cling to it, because you know that the river will bring many more leaves, and your peace does not depend on any single one. You do not interfere with the river. You simply witness its ceaseless flow. Let us practice this now, not as a metaphor, but as a direct experience. If it feels right for you, allow your eyes to gently close. Take a breath and let your awareness settle into your body. Become aware of the space behind your eyes, the silent inner field of consciousness in which everything in your experience happens. Now, simply wait for the next thought to appear. You do not have to create it. The river of the mind flows all on its own. When a thought does arise, just notice it. See if you can mentally label it, gently, like placing a feather on a balloon. If it is a thought about what to do later, just label it, planning. If it is a memory, remembering. If it is a judgment, judging. If you are not sure, the simple label, thinking, is perfect. The label is not a judgment. It is a simple act of recognition that creates a tiny sliver of space between you, the watcher, and the thought that is being watched. Do not expect the thoughts to stop. That is not the goal. The goal is simply to watch them without climbing aboard. As you do this, even for a few moments, you will begin to notice something miraculous. Gaps, tiny moments of silence between the thoughts. In these gaps, there is no problem. There is no story. There is no you with a past and a future. There is only stillness. There is only peace. There is only being. This is the sky showing through the clouds. This is the consciousness that you are emerging from the content of your mind. This simple act of observation is the ultimate ritual, the core of Chantin, or true understanding. You do not need a temple, for your body is the temple. You do not need a priest, for your own awareness is the high priest. The simple, repeated act of stepping back from the torrent of your thoughts and watching them pass is the most sacred ceremony you can perform. It is a ritual of homecoming, a repeated return to your own center. And in this practice of watching, a revolutionary question begins to dawn, a question that has the power to unravel the entire egoic structure. It arises not from intellectual curiosity, but from direct experience. The question is this: if I am here, watching the thought, then who or what am I? If I can observe my anger rising and falling, then I cannot be the anger. If I can witness my fear as it courses through my body, then I cannot be the fear. If I can watch the entire, chaotic, beautiful, and incessant stream of my thinking, then I cannot be the thinker, the voice in the head. A thought is an object that appears in my awareness. A feeling is an object that appears in my awareness. I am the subject. I am the awareness itself. This is the great discovery, the beginning of disidentification. You are not the leaves floating on the river. You have never been the leaves. You are the silent, spacious, unmoving bank of the river itself, the consciousness that allows the river to be, but is never touched or stained by it. Your nature is not turmoil, it is peace. Your essence is not thought, it is awareness. The chains of a lifetime of mistaken identity begin to rust and fall away, not through effort, but through simple seeing. But this profound realization, as liberating as it is, leaves us standing at the doorway of an even greater mystery. Having seen so clearly what you are not, what then are you? We have stepped out of the river. We are standing on the bank, silent and free, watching the endless parade of phenomena. Now, we can finally begin to explore the nature of this very ground on which we stand. You are standing on the bank of the river, watching the leaves of thought and feeling float by. You have made the most profound discovery of a human lifetime. You are not the leaves. You are not the fleeting phenomena that pass through your awareness. You are the awareness itself. You are the watcher on the bank. But this realization, as liberating as it is, immediately births a deeper inquiry. If I am the watcher, what is the nature of this watcher? If I am the awareness, what is the quality of this awareness? We have seen what we are not. Now, we must turn our full attention to the magnificent reality of what we are. The journey takes us from watching the objects of consciousness to exploring the very space in which they appear. Let us imagine your consciousness, your very being, as a vast and silent room. This room is the totality of your awareness. It has always been here, and it will always be here. It is the fundamental ground of your existence. Now, everything that you experience in life, without exception, is like a piece of furniture that is temporarily placed within this room. A thought is a chair that suddenly appears. A complex idea might be an ornate desk. A fleeting memory is a picture on the wall. An emotion is like a great rug that is suddenly unrolled, changing the entire color and feel of the room. One day, it is a fiery red rug of anger. The next, a deep, heavy blue rug of sadness. On a good day, a radiant golden rug of joy fills the space from wall to wall. Physical sensations are also furniture. A sharp pain is a jagged sculpture placed in a corner. A feeling of warmth is a gentle light pouring from a lamp. Even your entire life situation, your job, your relationships, your health is like a particular arrangement of furniture. Sometimes the room is cluttered and chaotic, filled with the furniture of stress and overwhelm. At other times, it is sparse and empty, furnished only with loss and longing. For your entire life, you have been taught a fundamental error of perception. You have believed yourself to be the furniture. You have lived with your identity completely fused with these temporary objects that appear in your space. When the red rug of anger is unrolled, you do not say, "I am aware of the energy of anger passing through my space." You say, with absolute conviction, "I am angry." You collapse your infinite identity as the room into the finite identity of the rug. When a heavy chair of a self-critical thought appears, "I am a failure," you do not see it as a piece of mental furniture. You believe you are that chair. You identify with it, you sit in it, you make it the center of your world. When the entire room is filled with the dark, heavy furniture of a difficult life period, you believe you are that difficult period. You forget the existence of the room itself and see only the painful objects it contains. This is the source of all suffering, identifying with the transient content of your life instead of the eternal context that holds it. Now, let us investigate the nature of the room itself. Let us turn our attention away from the furniture and become interested in the space. What are its qualities? Firstly, the room is silent. It has no voice, no opinion. It does not complain when the furniture is ugly, nor does it sing with praise when the furniture is beautiful. It simply allows it all to be. The silence of the room is its profound, non-judgmental nature. Secondly, the room is spacious. It is, in fact, infinitely spacious. You may feel overwhelmed, you may feel that your life is too full of problems, but the room itself is never full. No amount of furniture, no matter how large or cluttered, can ever diminish the space of the room. The space is infinite. Its capacity is limitless. Thirdly, and most importantly, the room is untouched. It is indestructible. A piece of furniture can be broken, a rug can be stained, a painting can fade, but the space itself is never harmed. When the red rug of anger is rolled up and taken away, the floor beneath is not burned. When the jagged sculpture of pain is removed, the space it occupied is not scarred. The space is pristine, immaculate, and ever-present, regardless of the quality or condition of the furniture that passes through it. Your true nature is this room. You are the silent, spacious, indestructible awareness in which all of your life's experiences, all thoughts, all feelings, all sensations happen. The experiences are the furniture. You are the space. You have been so hypnotized by the furniture that you have forgotten that you are the house itself. The invitation now is to shift your identity. It is to consciously, deliberately, and repeatedly withdraw your sense of self from the furniture and learn to rest as the room. How do we do this? It begins with a subtle shift of attention. Right now, as you listen, you are aware of these words. You are aware of the thoughts that are arising in response to them. You may be aware of a feeling in your body, perhaps of curiosity or resistance or peace. These are all objects, all furniture. For just a moment, stop being so interested in the furniture and become interested in the space that holds the furniture. Can you notice the silent, aware field in which all these things are happening? Can you sense the background of stillness upon which the noise of your thoughts is projected? Let's try it. Notice that you are aware. It is the most simple, obvious, and yet overlooked fact of your existence. You are aware. This awareness that is looking through your eyes and listening through your ears right now, what does it feel like? Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? Does it have an age? Does it have a gender? Or is it simply space-like? Is it not vast, empty, and silent? This knowing, seeing presence is you. It is the room. Before you are a man or a woman, before you have a name, before you have a history, you are simply this. You are this, awake, aware, emptiness. This is the presence of I am, before it gets saddled with I am this or I am that. This silent background amness is the space. We can use our senses as portals to this realization. Let's start with hearing. Listen to the sounds around you. The sound of my voice, the sound of the room you are in, the distant sound of traffic. Acknowledge these sounds. They are furniture, but can you also become aware of the silence that is underneath and between all the sounds, the vast, silent canvas upon which the sounds are painted? The silence was here before the sound began, and it will be here after the sound ends. The sounds are temporary, the silence is permanent. Rest in that silence. Realize that you are that silence, listening to the temporary noise. Now, let's use sight. With your eyes open, notice the objects in front of you, the colors, the shapes. These are objects in your visual field. Now close your eyes. You may see patterns, colors, or darkness. This is also furniture. But whether your eyes are open or closed, can you sense the aware space in which all this seeing is taking place? The presence that is looking? This seeing presence has no color or shape. It is the clear space of awareness. Realize that you are this clear space, witnessing the parade of visual phenomena. Finally, let's use the body. Feel the sensations within your body right now. The feeling of your clothes against your skin, the feeling of your breath moving in your chest, perhaps a feeling of tension in your shoulders or warmth in your hands. These are all objects, all furniture. But can you also sense the space inside your body, the inner field of aliveness that contains all these sensations? Can you feel the spaciousness of your own inner body, the energy field that is you? This inner space is not defined by the sensations. It is the container for them. Rest as this inner spaciousness. When you begin to identify as the space rather than the furniture, a profound and unshakable peace begins to dawn. This peace is not dependent on the circumstances of your life. It does not require you to have only good thoughts or pleasant feelings. It is the peace of the room itself, which is present even when the furniture is in chaos. A thought of fear cannot harm the space in which it arises. A wave of sadness cannot drown the awareness that witnesses it. The fiery rug of anger cannot burn the floor of consciousness. Your essential nature is indestructible, untouchable, and eternally safe. This is the source of true peace, a peace that underlies all experience. You can be the space of peace, even while the furniture of sadness is in the room. You can be the space of stillness, even while the furniture of anxious thought is present. The two are not contradictory. In fact, your ability to be the calm, spacious room is what allows the difficult furniture to be seen, felt, and ultimately to pass on its own. This ends the inner war. You are no longer fighting with yourself. You stop the exhausting project of trying to control your inner state, of trying to throw out all the bad furniture and hoard all the good furniture. You see the futility of it. The goal is not to have a perfectly decorated minimalist room with only beautiful spiritual furniture. That is just another, more subtle form of control. The goal is to realize you are the room itself, with an infinite capacity to lovingly hold whatever furniture life brings to you. You become a sanctuary for your own experience. The sadness is welcome here. The fear is welcome here. The joy is welcome here. The confusion is welcome here. By allowing them all to be, without identifying with them, you rob them of their power over you. They become simply weather patterns passing through the vast sky of your being. As you learn to rest as this vast, silent, all-allowing space, a new question arises, or rather, an old question begins to die. The frantic, lifelong need to prove yourself, to be good enough, to become worthy of love and peace. It all starts to seem faintly absurd. If you are the very space in which all things exist, what is there to prove? If you are the indestructible container of all experience, what could possibly make you unworthy? To whom must you demonstrate your value? This realization strikes at the very root of the ego's greatest ritual, its most cherished and painful project, the endless, exhausting quest for worthiness. And it is this myth of deserving that we must turn to next. We come now to the deepest and most tender wound in the human psyche. It is a wound so universal that we mistake it for a fundamental law of the universe. It is the belief that you are not enough as you are. It is the subtle but powerful conviction that your worth is not inherent but conditional, something that must be earned, validated, and proven, day after grueling day. This is the myth of deserving, the central religion of the ego. And it is the invisible engine that has driven you, exhausted you, and kept you from the profound peace that is your birthright. Having realized that you are the vast, silent space of awareness, we can now see this myth for what it is. A ghost story told to a king, a tale designed to make him forget he owns the entire palace. This belief is a virus of the mind, passed down through generations. It was whispered to you in the subtle disappointment of a parent when you did not meet their expectations. It was written in the red marks on a school paper, teaching you that your value is measured by your performance. It is blared at you from every advertisement, a screaming promise of wholeness if you just buy one more thing, achieve one more promotion, or lose those last 10 pounds. The world has trained you to see your life as a transaction. You have made a subconscious contract with reality, a contract that reads, if I am successful, then I will be worthy of love. If I achieve a perfect body, then I will be worthy of admiration. If I am always kind, selfless, and spiritual, then I will be worthy of peace. Life becomes a constant performance for an invisible, insatiable judge. You are forever on trial, and you are both the defendant and the prosecutor. Now step outside this courtroom of the mind for a moment. Step into the world of true nature, the world that operates on a logic far deeper than the ego's. Consider the sun. Does the sun perform calculations in the morning to determine if it is worthy of rising? Does it check its list of good deeds to see if it has earned the right to cast its golden light across the solar system? The thought is absurd. The sun does not shine because it is worthy. The shining is its nature. It is an unconditional outpouring of its own essence. It cannot not shine. Consider a flower in a field, a wild rose. Does it struggle and strive to be beautiful? Does it exhaust itself in an effort to deserve the dewdrop that rests upon its petal? Does it compare its form to the rose next to it, worrying that it is not red enough or that its stem is not strong enough? It does none of these things. It simply opens itself to the sky, receives the light, releases its fragrance, and exists in its own unique, unrepeatable perfection. Its being is its beauty. Its existence is its worth. Does an ancient oak tree feel unworthy because it does not produce fruit like an apple tree? Number? It stands in its magnificent oakness, providing shade, housing birds, reaching for the heavens, being unapologetically what it is. You are not separate from this nature. The same intelligence that shines the sun and blossoms the rose breathes you. In your essence, in the silent space of awareness that you are as much a part of this spontaneous, unconditional expression of life as the sun, the flower, and the tree. Your worth is not in what you do, but in what you are. Your very being is your worth. The simple, miraculous fact of your existence is your permission slip to be here. The myth of deserving is the ego's primary survival strategy. The ego, that false, mind-made self, exists only as a sense of lack, a feeling of separation and incompleteness. Therefore, it must always keep you in a state of becoming worthy. It turns your life into a self-improvement project with no completion date. It convinces you that peace and wholeness are just over the next hillen, the next achievement, the next relationship, the next spiritual insight. But when you climb that hill and get there, the ego immediately points to a higher, more distant peak. It cannot allow you to arrive, because in the moment of true arrival, in the simple acceptance of what is, the ego dissolves. It will even use your spirituality against you. The quest to become more present, more loving, or more enlightened becomes the ego's most subtle and powerful game. It turns enlightenment itself into another goal that proves you are unworthy right now. The ego's greatest fear is that you will discover the truth, that you are already whole, that the kingdom of heaven is already within you, and that you need do nothing to enter. This painful myth cannot survive without its toxic twin, the poison of comparison. To feel unworthy, you must have a standard outside of yourself to fall short of. You look at another's life, or more accurately, the curated image of another's life, and you use it as a weapon against yourself. Their success highlights your failure. Their relationship highlights your loneliness. Their perceived peace highlights your inner turmoil. This is a profound form of madness. It is the rose wishing it were an oak tree. It is a complete denial of your own unique form, path, and purpose. Each being is a perfect and necessary expression of the whole. Your journey is yours alone. To compare it is to insult the very intelligence that created you. I want you now to lay down this burden. Just for a moment, feel what it would be like to stop, to resign from the exhausting job of trying to be worthy? What if you didn't have to do anything else to be enough? What if you didn't have to improve, fix, or change yourself to be deserving of all the love and peace in the universe? What if you were already, in this very moment, with all your perceived flaws and imperfections, completely and utterly whole? Not because of what you've done, but simply because you exist. Breathe into that possibility. Can you feel the immense relief in it? The relaxation spreading through your shoulders and jaw. The quiet space opening in your chest. The war is over, if you choose. I am giving you permission, right now, to stop trying. Permission to be messy. Permission to be imperfect. Permission to be gloriously, humanly, exactly as you are. Your existence is the only permission slip you have ever needed. You are already cleared for entry. This is a shift from deserving to allowing. Peace does not come to you because you have finally become worthy of it. Peace comes when you cease the violent struggle to be worthy and simply allow the peace that is your nature to be present. Love does not come to you because you have finally earned it. Love comes when you stop believing you are unworthy of it, when you cease broadcasting the frequency of lack, and you become an open, welcoming space for it to enter. You have been holding a priceless diamond in your hand your entire life, while traveling the world begging for colored glass. The work is not to find the diamond, but to simply open your hand and see that it has been there all along. To lay down the heavy burden of deserving is a profound act of self-love. But it is not a passive state of resignation. It is an active, dynamic embrace of reality as it is. It requires the cultivation of a new spiritual muscle, a new way of relating to your moment-to-moment experience. It requires that you stop fighting reality and instead learn to partner with it. It means looking at the furniture currently in your room, the pleasant and the unpleasant, and saying yes to it. This is the sacred portal of radical acceptance. We arrive now at a word that is deeply misunderstood by the striving, problem-solving mind. That word is acceptance. To the ego, which thrives on control and conflict, acceptance sounds like defeat. It sounds like resignation, like giving up, like letting the world walk all over you. It is perceived as the ultimate weakness, but this is a profound and tragic misunderstanding. Radical acceptance is not a passive act. It is the highest, most intelligent, and most powerful form of action a human being can take. It is the master key that unlocks the gate of inner freedom. Let us be very clear about what acceptance is and what it is not. Acceptance does not mean you have to like the painful situation you are in. It does not mean you condone the injustice or the hurtful behavior of others. It does not mean you will not take clear and decisive action to change your circumstances in the future. It has nothing to do with approving of the situation. It has everything to do with acknowledging the reality of it. Radical acceptance is the simple, sane, and courageous act of dropping your inner war with what is. It is looking at the furniture currently in your room, the pain, the confusion, the unwelcome circumstance, and saying, with a calm and clear spirit, you are here, for now you belong. It is the cessation of the argument with reality. Why? Because the argument is always, without exception, a losing one. Reality always wins. To grasp the power of this, imagine the art of Aikido. A novice fighter operating from the ego meets every blow with brute force. He tenses his muscles, grits his teeth, and pushes back with all his might against the energy coming toward him. There is great effort, great struggle, and often great pain. He exhausts his own energy fighting the energy of his opponent. This is how we usually live. Life throws a punch, a financial loss, a health diagnosis, a relationship ending, and we tense up. We mentally and emotionally scream, no, this shouldn't be happening. We meet the energy of the event with rigid resistance. Now, imagine the Aikido master. He stands relaxed, centered, present. When the attack comes, a powerful force moving toward him, he does not meet it with resistance. He does not try to stop it. He yields. He flows with the energy of the attack, joins it for a moment, and redirects it with minimal effort. He uses the opponent's own momentum to restore balance, often without causing any harm. He does not fight reality. He dances with it. Radical acceptance is the aikido of the soul. Life will bring its attacks, its powerful movements of energy. Your resistance, your mental and emotional no, is the tension that causes you to get hurt. It is the futile act of trying to stop a punch with your face. Your acceptance is the yielding, the flowing, the intelligent blending with the energy of the moment that allows you to move through it with grace and power. There is a fundamental law of energy at play here. What you resist persists. When you say no to a feeling or a situation that is already present, you create an immense and draining inner conflict. You are split into two warring factions. The part of you experiencing the reality and the part of you screaming that this reality is wrong. All your precious life energy, the energy that could be used for healing, for creativity, for love, is consumed in this pointless inner civil war. Resistance does not remove the initial pain of the situation. It amplifies it by adding a second, and often much greater, layer of suffering on top of it. There is the primary pain of the broken leg. Then there is the secondary suffering of the endless mental story. This is terrible. My life is ruined. Why did this happen to me? I can't stand this. Acceptance dissolves this second layer of suffering instantly. The leg is still broken, but the inner war has ended, and all of your energy is now available for the intelligent and practical work of healing. Let us make this real. Bring to mind a situation in your life that you are currently resisting. It does not have to be your biggest trauma, just a source of moderate tension, a difficult emotion that keeps visiting, a recurring worry, a frustrating circumstance at work or at home. First, just notice the resistance itself. Where do you feel it in your body? A tightness in the jaw, a knot in the stomach, a clenching in your fists, a shallow breath held high in the chest. This physical tension is the somatic signature of no. It is the feeling of you fighting reality. Now, see if you can perform a small experiment in Aikido. Can you, just for this moment, drop the story about the situation? Let go of the labels of good and bad. And can you simply allow the physical and emotional sensations to be there without needing them to change? Can you breathe into the tightness? Can you soften around the hard edges of the feeling? You might whisper to yourself, internally, a single word, yes. This is not, yes, I love this pain. It is, yes, this is the reality of this moment. Or you might use the phrase, this too. You feel the anxiety, and you whisper, this too. You feel the frustration, this too. You feel the grief, this too. This simple phrase is a recognition that your present experience, whatever it may be, is not an error. It is not an obstacle on your path. This experience is your path, right now. The universe has not made a mistake. This difficulty, this unwelcome furniture, contains a lesson or a gift for you, but that gift can only be unwrapped and received through acceptance. This practice is the gateway to intelligent action. So many of us fear that if we accept a situation, we will become passive and nothing will ever change. The exact opposite is true. You cannot navigate effectively from a place you refuse to accept you are in. Imagine being lost in a dark forest. If you stand there screaming, I shouldn't be in this forest, this is wrong, you will remain lost. The first step to finding your way out is to stop, take a breath, and accept. Okay, I am in a forest. It is dark. Those are the facts. Only from that point of clear-eyed acceptance can you ask the powerful and creative question, now, what is the most intelligent and loving action I can take from here? Action born from resistance is reactive, fearful, and often creates more problems. Action born from acceptance is responsive, clear, creative, and wise. The practice of saying yes to the now, of aligning with reality, of applying spiritual aikido to your life is the key that unlocks a different kind of power. It is not the brute force power of control and manipulation that the ego so desperately seeks. That is the power of the tense fighter, destined for exhaustion. This is a quieter, deeper, and infinitely more potent power. It is the power of the master who moves with the flow of life itself. It is the power that comes not from doing, but from allowing. It is the power of intentional surrender. Acceptance is the key that unlocks the door. Surrender is the courageous act of walking through it into a new and unfamiliar landscape. If acceptance is the cessation of your inner war with the present moment, surrender is the active and joyful trusting in the universal current that begins to carry you once the struggle has ended. Like its cousin, acceptance, surrender is a word that has been contaminated by the ego's lexicon of fear. It is associated with weakness, with raising a white flag, with defeat and victimhood. We must reclaim this sacred word from the mind's misunderstanding. For intentional surrender is not an act of powerlessness. It is the ultimate expression of power. It is crucial to distinguish between the soul's surrender and the ego's despair. What the ego calls surrender is actually giving up. Giving up is born from frustration. It is the resentful sigh of a thwarted will. Its energy is heavy, bitter, and contracted. Giving up says, "I can't win. This is hopeless. I am a victim of my circumstances, and there is nothing I can do." It is a closing down of energy, a retreat into powerlessness. Intentional surrender, or what we might call giving over, is the polar opposite. It is a conscious act born from wisdom, humility, and trust. Its energy is light, open, and expansive. Surrender says, "I recognize that my personal, limited mind, with its finite data and fear-based projections, does not have all the answers. I will do my part with clarity and love, and then I will trustingly release the outcome to the greater intelligence of life itself, which sees a bigger picture than I can possibly imagine." Giving up is an abdication of power. Surrender is an alignment with a power far greater than your own. To understand this, consider the profound wisdom of a gardener. Imagine an anxious gardener. He carefully prepares the soil and plants a seed. But his mind is filled with the need to control. He frets constantly. Is the seed growing? Is it getting enough sun? Too much? He digs up the seed every few hours to check for a sprout, interrupting the delicate, unseen process. He tries to force the growth through his own mental effort and constant interference. He believes the growth is his responsibility. His anxiety and need for control are actively harming the very thing he wishes to nurture. This anxious gardener is the human ego trying to manage life. Now, consider the wise gardener. He too prepares the soil with great care. He plants the seed at the right depth, provides it with water, and ensures it has access to light. He does his part, intelligently and lovingly. And then, he lets go. He surrenders. He walks away and trusts. He does not command the seed to grow. He does not worry about the mysterious alchemy happening in the darkness of the earth. He has faith in the innate intelligence within the seed, the same vast intelligence that governs the cosmos, that turns the tides and spins the galaxies. His surrender is not passive. It is an act of profound, active trust in a process larger than himself. When you form an intention, a desire, or a prayer, you are planting a seed in the fertile soil of consciousness. Your part is to clarify the intention, prepare the soil, and to align your energy and actions with it, provide water and light. Then, the most powerful and necessary action is to surrender. You must let go of the outcome. You must trust the great gardener. To surrender is to stop digging up your seeds every day with the spade of worry and doubt. This is not merely a poetic idea. It is the most intelligent and practical way to operate. Your thinking mind, as brilliant as it is a finite tool. It is like a small laptop computer trying to manage the entire global internet. It simply doesn't have the processing power. It operates on incomplete data and is heavily biased by past conditioning and future fears. To insist that your small mind must control every outcome of your infinitely complex life is an act of immense arrogance and foolishness. To surrender is to recognize this limitation and to consciously plug into the mainframe computer of the universe itself. It is the humility to admit that the whole has a perspective that the part cannot possibly have. It is trusting that life may have a plan for you that is far more magnificent than the one your fearful ego could ever conceive of. Feel the difference in your own body. Feel the energy of control. It is tension. It is a clenched jaw, tight shoulders, a braced stomach. It is the feeling of mentally holding on, of trying to juggle all the variables, of bracing against 1,000 potential negative outcomes. It is utterly exhausting. Now, just for a moment, imagine the feeling of truly letting go. Imagine unclenching your fists you didn't even know you were holding tight. Imagine the physical sensation of putting down an immense weight you have been carrying on your back for years. Imagine the feeling of floating on your back in perfectly still water, completely and utterly supported. That is the feeling of surrender. It is a deep relaxation, a profound exhale of the soul. It is the feeling of being held by life. This does not mean you become a passive bystander. Surrender does not mean inaction. It means a transformation in the quality of your action. Action driven by the ego comes from a place of fear, neediness, and a desperate desire to control the outcome. It feels forceful, strenuous, and is often counterproductive. Action that arises from a surrendered state is what is known as inspired action. Because you are no longer consumed by worry, you become a clear channel. An intuitive idea will pop into your head. You will feel a gentle pull to call a certain person or visit a certain place. The action feels effortless, graceful, and guided. You still act, you still do the work, but you are not attached to the fruits of your action. You do the work because it is joyful and aligned, and you allow the universe to handle the intricate web of results. You become a conduit for inspired action, rather than the strained source of effortful action. Ultimately, the most powerful practice is to surrender to this moment exactly as it is. Every moment, you are presented with a choice. You can resist the isness of the now, wishing it were different, or you can surrender to it. Surrendering to the now is the ultimate declaration of trust. It is a prayer that says to life, "I do not understand why this is happening. My mind may label this as bad, but I trust your intelligence more than my mind's preferences. I yield, I accept, I surrender." This profound act of surrender, of intentionally aligning your personal will with the will of the whole, does something miraculous to your personal energy field. The static of resistance, worry, and control dissolves. Your frequency becomes clear, calm, and coherent. You cease to be a dam against the river of life, and you become the current itself. And when your energy is in this state of clear, surrendered flow, you begin to interact with the universe on a much more fundamental level. You begin to understand that the universe does not respond to your words or your struggles. It responds to the frequency you emit. It listens not to your requests, but to your vibration. We have arrived now at a teaching that has captivated and confused millions, a concept shimmering with immense power, yet often reduced to a simplistic and frustrating formula. It is the idea that you create your own reality. For many, this has led to the modern-day ritual of affirmations, the mechanical chanting of positive words, in the hope of convincing the universe to grant our wishes. We stand before the mirror and declare, "I am wealthy," while our body screams with the visceral feeling of lack. We repeat the mantra, "I am at peace," while our heart races with the familiar rhythm of anxiety. We are speaking one language, while our being screams another. And this is why it so often fails. It is a new superstition, a new ritual performed with an empty heart. And it does not work. Not because the universe is cruel or deaf, but because it does not speak English. It does not respond to your words. It responds to your music. Every moment of every day, you are a living broadcasting tower, sending out a signal into the quantum field of infinite possibility. This signal is not composed of your words or even your thoughts. It is composed of your energy. It is the sum total of your dominant, habitual, emotional state. This is your frequency. This is your vibration. This is your true, unspoken, and constant prayer. The universe, in its infinite intelligence, does not process the literal meaning of your sentences. It reads the energetic signature of your soul. To understand this, imagine you are both a sophisticated radio receiver and a powerful transmitter. All possible realities already exist as potential frequencies, like countless radio stations broadcasting simultaneously across the ether. There is a station called Joyful Abundance, playing the music of ease, gratitude, and opportunity. There is a station called Peaceful Health, playing the harmonious melody of vitality and well-being. There are also stations called Chronic Struggle, Lonely Heartbreak, and Perpetual Anxiety, each broadcasting their own discordant, static-filled tunes. All of these stations are broadcasting right now, in this very moment. They are all available. Your emotional state, the feeling tone of your bodies, the tuning dial on your radio. This is the crucial, overlooked secret. You cannot consciously tune your dial to the frequency of struggle and lack by habitually feeling worried about money and anxious about the future and expect to hear the beautiful music from the Joyful Abundance station. It is a law of physics. The radio can only receive and play the music of the station it is actually tuned to. Repeating the words, "I am tuned to joyful abundance," while your entire being is vibrating with the feeling of fear, does nothing. The universe isn't fooled by the label you write on your radio. It responds only to the frequency the dial is actually set to. The work then is not to shout at the universe, but to consciously and deliberately retune your own transmitter. You must become the frequency of the reality you desire to experience. Your heart, not your head, is the primary emitter of your energetic signal. Your emotional body is the broadcasting tower. Therefore, the secret to creation, the secret to consciously tuning your radio, is feeling. Feeling is the prayer. Feeling is the secret. The universe does not respond to what you want. It responds to who you are being. And who you are being is determined by how you are feeling. The work, therefore, must shift away from the mental realm of words and into the experiential realm of the body. The new practice is not to repeat what you want, but to generate, within yourself, right now, the emotional frequency of already having it. This is the art of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Take a moment. What is it you truly desire? Let's say it is a feeling of deep, abiding love and connection. The old ritual would be to say, "I am loved and connected." The new understanding asks a different question. What would it feel like, in your body, to be saturated with that love and connection right now? Not the thought of it, but the actual somatic feeling. The warmth in your chest, the relaxation in your belly, the open, gentle quality of your breath, the feeling of safety, of being cherished, of belonging. Your job is not to chase love, but to cultivate that feeling. Let us try a brief practice. Bring to mind something you would joyfully welcome into your life. Do not choose from a place of desperate lack, but from a place of creative preference. It could be healing, abundance, a creative breakthrough, or a sense of inner peace. Now, for the duration of this practice, completely let go of all thoughts of how it will happen, when it will happen, or if it is possible. The how and when are the domain of the universe, the great gardener. Your only work is to tune to the frequency of the what. Close your eyes. Imagine your life if this desire were already your complete and total reality. Step into the movie of that reality. If it is healing, imagine yourself moving through your day with ease, energy, and gratitude for your body. If it is abundance, imagine the feeling of freedom and generosity, the absence of financial worry, But do not just watch the movie. Feel it. Feel the emotional tone of that movie. Let the feeling of relief, of joy, of gratitude, of peace saturate every cell in your body. Let this imaginary feeling become more real, more solid, more present than the chair you are sitting on. Marinate in this frequency. Dwell in this state. This is not about visualization for the sake of seeing pictures. It is about using pictures to generate a feeling. The feeling is the point. The feeling is the prayer being sent. Your only job is to return to this feeling state as often as you can, not as a chore, but for the sheer, selfish joy of feeling that way. The more you dwell in a feeling, the more you magnetize circumstances and events that match it. This is why surrender is the essential partner to intentional creation. You cannot maintain the frequency of abundance while simultaneously vibrating with the anxiety of, when will it get here? Or, why isn't it working? That anxiety is a different, more powerful frequency that cancels out your intention. The act of surrender, of trusting the process and letting go of the outcome, is what allows your chosen frequency to broadcast clearly without the static of doubt. This leads to the practice of living from the end. It means you begin to think, speak, act, and feel as if your desire is already a manifest fact. You make choices not to get peace, but from a place of peace. You interact with others not to get love, but from a place of love. You are no longer a person trying to attract something to you. You are collapsing the distance by becoming the person who already is it. This is the highest form of creation. You are not begging a distant God for a miracle. You are aligning yourself with the creative laws of the cosmos and becoming a miracle yourself. This practice of conscious frequency modulation is the art of becoming a deliberate creator. It is moving from being a victim of your reality to being the source of it. But to become a true master of this art, we must understand the raw material we are working with. We must look more deeply at the nature of the very energy that generates our frequency. We have said that feeling is the secret, but what truly is a feeling? What is an emotion? Is it a random, disruptive event to be controlled or suppressed? Or is it something far more intelligent, a vital piece of our guidance system? To master our frequency, we must first master our understanding of the energy that creates it, the energy of emotion. We have spoken of frequency, of feeling as the secret prayer that shapes our reality. But to become a true artisan of your inner world, you must understand the raw material you are working with. You must develop an entirely new relationship with the very source of your frequency, your emotions. For most of us, our relationship with our own emotional body is one of deep and tragic misunderstanding. It is a state of constant, low-grade civil war. From a very young age, we are taught, both explicitly and implicitly, that our emotions are a problem to be managed. We are handed a list, dividing them into two distinct categories, the good emotions and the bad ones. On the good list are joy, happiness, love, excitement, and peace. These are the acceptable feelings. We are encouraged to pursue them, to cultivate them, to display them. They are the currency of a successful life. On the bad list are fear, anger, sadness, grief, jealousy, and shame. These are the unacceptable feelings. They are seen as signs of weakness, of instability, of being flawed. We are taught to suppress them, to control them, to hide them from others, and most damagingly, to hide them from ourselves. We learn to put on a brave face when we are terrified, to swallow our anger, to apologize for our tears. We have been conditioned to be at war with half of our own being. This internal schism is the source of immense suffering. It is a fundamental error in our internal operating system. We have been given a false map of our own inner landscape, a map that labels vast, fertile territories as dangerous and forbidden. But what if this map is wrong? What if there are no bad emotions? What if every single emotion, without exception, is a valid, intelligent, and necessary messenger from our soul? What if our only task is not to judge them, but to listen to them, Let us begin by deconstructing the word itself, emotion. Its Latin root is a mover, which means to move out or to move through. E, meaning out, and motion, meaning movement. The very name of emotion tells us its nature and its purpose. It is simply energy in motion. It is meant to move. It is a temporary flow of life force, arising in response to a stimulus, designed to move through our system, deliver its information, and then pass, leaving us clearer and wiser than before. It is not designed to be held, stored, judged, or suppressed. Its nature is to flow. Imagine your consciousness as the vast, clear sky. Emotions are simply weather systems that pass through this sky. Joy is a day of brilliant, cloudless sunshine. Sadness is a gentle, cleansing rain. Anger is a dramatic, powerful thunderstorm. Fear is a thick, disorienting fog. The weather is constantly changing, but the sky remains the same. The sky does not judge the weather. It does not try to cling to the sunny days or fight the thunderstorms. It allows it all to happen. It is the space for it all. You are the sky, not the weather. To believe you are your anger is as foolish as the sky believing it is a thunderstorm. It is a temporary, powerful, energetic event passing through you. Each of these weather systems, each of these emotions, has a unique energetic signature, a specific frequency. They are not morally good or bad. They are simply different vibrations of energy. Fear has a frantic, contracted, high-frequency vibration. Grief has a slow, heavy, dense vibration. Joy has a light, open, expansive vibration. They are all part of the rich spectrum of human experience. The problem is not the existence of these different frequencies. The problem is that we have built massive dams within our own being to try to stop the flow of the ones we don't like. Let us expand on this metaphor. Imagine that the flow of your emotional energy is a great river flowing through the landscape of your body. In its natural state, this river is clean, dynamic, and life-giving. It ebbs and flows, sometimes a gentle stream, sometimes a powerful torrent, but it is always moving, always alive. Now, from childhood, whenever a certain type of water appeared in the riverlet, say the dark, turbulent water of anger, we were told, "No, that water is bad. We must stop it." And so, we began to build a dam. The first stone of the dam was denial. I'm not angry. The next was judgment. It's wrong to be angry. The next was distraction. We frantically busied ourselves with work or entertainment to avoid looking at the river. The next was intellectualization. We built a laboratory next to the river to analyze the water's chemical composition, writing papers on the neurobiology of rage, anything to avoid actually feeling its raw, vet power. And what happens behind a dam? The water does not simply vanish. It builds up. The pressure becomes immense. The once flowing river becomes a stagnant, murky, polluted reservoir. This is the source of so much of our modern malaise. The free-floating anxiety that hums beneath the surface of our lives is the immense pressure of unfelt fear behind a dam. The chronic, low-grade depression that numbs so many is the stagnant water of unprocessed grief. The sudden, uncontrollable outbursts of rage that shock even ourselves are the moments when the dam cracks under the unbearable pressure, releasing a destructive, indiscriminate flood that harms us and those around us. Or, the dam holds so strong that we become completely numb, cut off from our own aliveness, living a life in grayscale, unable to feel the bad emotions but, as a consequence, also unable to feel the good ones with any real depth. You cannot selectively numb feeling. The dam that blocks grief also blocks joy. The path to healing and wholeness is not to build stronger dams. It is the courageous work of dismantling them, stone by stone, and learning to let the river flow again. It is understanding that the river, in its wisdom, will cleanse itself if it is allowed to move. The only way out is through. So, how do we do this? How do we learn to be with the river without being swept away? This is the sacred alchemical practice of feeling. It is a practice of presence and embodiment. When you feel the first stirrings of a difficult emotion, your lifelong conditioning is to tense up, to brace against it. The new practice is to do the opposite. You must soften, you must open, you must invite the feeling in, as you would an honored guest. You might whisper to yourself, "I see you are here, sadness. You are welcome. Come in and tell me your story." The next step is to disconnect from the story in your head. The mind will immediately want to spin a narrative around the emotion. I'm angry because he said that, and he shouldn't have, and this always happens. This story is the fuel that keeps the emotion locked in a repeating loop. Let go of the story, let go of the why, and bring your full, curious attention to the raw, physical sensation of the emotion in your body. Where does this energy live right now? Is it a fire burning in your chest, a tightness clenching your throat, a hollow ache in your belly, a buzzing energy in your hands? Become an inner scientist, an explorer of your own somatic landscape. Your only goal is to feel the sensation directly, without the filter of mental commentary. Now, you begin the alchemy. You use your breath. Imagine that your breath is a warm, liquid, golden light. On your inhale, consciously direct this warm light to the location of the sensation in your body. You are not trying to push the feeling away, you are doing the opposite. You are bringing your loving, spacious awareness right into the heart of the storm. You are surrounding the dense, contracted energy with space and light. Then, on the exhale, simply soften. Imagine the sensation having more space to be, to move, to vibrate. Imagine the hard knot of energy loosening its grip, just a little. You breathe in, bringing presence to the feeling. You breathe out, giving the feeling space. In, out. You are not trying to fix it. You are simply being with it. You are providing a safe container for the energy to be felt. As you do this, you will notice that emotions come in waves. The sensation will build in intensity. It will crest like a wave. And then, if you do not resist it, it will naturally subside. Your only job is to stay present and breathe through the entire arc of the wave. Your job is not to stop the wave. Your job is to learn how to surf. And when you allow an emotion to move all the way through you in this way, without getting stuck in the story, something magical happens. The energy completes its circuit. It delivers its message and moves on. The stagnant water becomes flowing water again. And on the other side of the wave, there is always a gift. On the other side of fully felt anger, there is clarity and right action. On the other side of fully felt grief, there is compassion and love. On the other side of fully felt fear, there is freedom and wisdom. The emotional blockages you hold within you, these dams of unfelt energy, do not remain a private affair. They are powerful broadcasting stations, sending out a specific and often unconscious frequency into the universe. The stagnant resentment you hold toward someone is a constant, low-frequency broadcast. The dam of unfelt grief is a vibration of loss sent out into the field. And the law of resonance dictates that the universe must mirror this frequency back to you in the form of your life circumstances, your relationships, and your experiences. You begin to realize that the world you experience is not random. It is a perfect reflection, a flawless mirror of your own inner emotional landscape. To change the world, you must not try to polish the mirror. You must heal the face that is being reflected. You have begun to see that your inner world is not a private, contained reality. It is a powerful broadcasting station, sending out a constant frequency that is shaped by the emotional energy you carry. We must now explore the breathtaking and confronting mechanism by which this inner broadcast becomes your outer world. To do this, let us use a new metaphor. Imagine that your consciousness, with all its hidden beliefs, its cherished stories, and its dams of unfelt emotion, is a film projector. And the world you experience, the people, the events, the circumstances of your life, is the screen upon which the film is shown. For most of your life, you have believed you are sitting in the audience, watching a film that is happening to you. You have celebrated the happy scenes, wept at the tragic ones, and hidden your eyes during the frightening parts, all the while believing you had no role in the production. The Great Awakening, the shift from ritual to understanding, is the moment you realize you are not in the audience. You have never been in the audience. You are in the projection booth. You are, and have always been, the one running the film. The universe operates on a simple, elegant, and flawless principle of reflection. Everything and everyone you encounter in your life is a mirror. The world is not happening to you, it is happening for you. It is a perfect, real-time, high-definition feedback system for your own consciousness. It is a loving, if sometimes painfully honest guide, constantly showing you the contents of your own mind and heart. It is showing you the film you are projecting. Imagine you wake up in the morning and look in the bathroom mirror. You see a smudge of dirt on your cheek. What is your reaction? Do you get angry at the mirror? Do you accuse it of being unfair or cruel? Do you try to scrub the smudge off the surface of the glass? Of course not. The thought is absurd. You recognize instantly, and without question, that the mirror is simply showing you what is true about your own face. You take a warm cloth, you gently wipe your own cheek, and the reflection in the mirror changes instantly and perfectly. This is the simple, profound wisdom we must learn to apply to our entire lives. The world is that mirror. When a person in your life consistently acts with anger or criticism towards you, you are looking in the mirror. The ego's immediate reaction is to get angry at the reflection, to criticize the mirror. But this is as futile as scrubbing the glass. The wise and courageous question is, where is the smudge of anger on my own face? Where am I holding unfelt anger or self-criticism within me that is now being so perfectly mirrored back to me? When you consistently feel unseen, unheard, or unappreciated by others, you are looking in the mirror. The powerless question is, why don't they see me? The powerful question is, where am I not seeing myself? Where am I abandoning my own worth, and therefore projecting a film in which others must play the part of abandoning me too? This mirroring works in several ways. Firstly, the world will mirror back the emotional energy you have suppressed. The universe cannot tolerate a vacuum. The emotions you have disowned, judged as bad, and dammed up within your body must find expression. If you refuse to consciously feel and release your own stored anger, the universe will kindly send you an angry person to act it out for you. The frustrating coworker who seems to be angry for no reason, the critical family member who picks at your every flaw, they are often sacred messengers, showing you the stagnant emotional energy you are carrying. They are divine appointments, inviting you to finally feel your own feelings, to dismantle your own inner dam. Secondly, the world will flawlessly mirror your deepest, most unconscious beliefs about yourself. If you hold a deep, core belief that I am not worthy of love, or I will always be abandoned, the projector of your consciousness will cast this story onto the screen of your life. You will attract partners who are unable to commit or who treat you poorly, perfectly reflecting your own inner self-abandonment and confirming your deepest fear. If you believe the world is a hostile, competitive place, the mirror of life will show you scarcity and conflict at every turn. The world is the ultimate yes man to your deepest convictions. It does not argue with your worldview. It simply reflects it back to you with perfect fidelity. This brings us to one of the most challenging and transformative implications of this principle. The people who trigger you the most are your greatest spiritual teachers. The person whose behavior irritates, frustrates, or enrages you more than anyone else is your most potent guru, a master assigned specifically to you by a loving universe. Their behavior is perfectly designed to push on the unhealed, unexamined, and tender parts of your own psyche. The ego's response is to blame, to resent, to wish they would change. The soul's invitation is to shift from a mindset of, "How dare you?" to one of profound, if difficult, gratitude. Thank you for showing me. Thank you for showing me where I am not yet free. Thank you for showing me a part of myself I have disowned. Thank you for revealing to me the unhealed wound that is still running my life. Whatever quality in another person elicits a strong, positive, or negative emotional charge in you is also present in you in some form. If you are powerfully repelled by someone's perceived arrogance, it is either because there is a disowned part of you that is also arrogant, or because you hold a deep fear of being seen as arrogant, and their behavior triggers this insecurity. If you deeply admire someone's courage and freedom, it is because that same courage and freedom exists as a powerful, untapped potential within you. The world is constantly showing you to yourself. To use this principle as a daily practice is to accelerate your own awakening. Throughout your day, notice when you feel a strong emotional reaction, a flash of anger, a pang of envy, a wave of judgment, a feeling of being wronged. Instead of immediately casting your focus outward, blaming the external trigger, pause, take a single conscious breath, and first, own the reaction as yours. This feeling of anger is in me. This sensation of envy is arising in my body. Then, ask the sacred mirror question, what is this situation mirroring back to me about myself? What part of me is this person showing me that I have refused to look at? What unconscious belief of mine is this event so perfectly confirming? To live in this way is to bring an end to the age of blame. Blame is the ego's desperate attempt to wipe the mirror. It is a fundamentally powerless position that keeps you trapped in a cycle of reactivity and resentment. As long as you are blaming the mirror, you are a victim. You are giving all your creative power away to the reflection. The moment you take 100% responsibility for the image being projected, not for the events themselves, but for your inner state that they are reflecting you, reclaim your power. You are no longer the passive audience member. You are the one in the projection booth, with your hand on the film. You realize you can't change the film by shouting at the screen. You can only change it by changing the reel that is playing inside you. This understanding that the world is but a mirror of your own consciousness is the great liberation. It dissolves the illusion of separation between you and your experience. It ends the pointless and draining cycle of blame and resentment. It forces you, with a loving and relentless compassion, to turn your gaze away from the screen and back toward yourself, the source of the show. And in doing so, it incinerates the most disempowering story the ego has ever told. The story that you are a victim. You have begun to see that your inner world is not a private, contained reality. It is a powerful broadcasting station, sending out a constant frequency that is shaped by the emotional energy you carry. We must now explore the breathtaking and confronting mechanism by which this inner broadcast becomes your outer world. To do this, let us use a new metaphor. Imagine that your consciousness, with all its hidden beliefs, its cherished stories, and its dams of unfelt emotion, is a film projector. And the world, you experience the people, the events, the circumstances of your life, is the screen upon which the film is shown. For most of your life, you have believed you are sitting in the audience watching a film that is happening to you. You have celebrated the happy scenes, wept at the tragic ones, and hidden your eyes during the frightening parts, all the while believing you had no role in the production. The Great Awakening, the shift from ritual to understanding, is the moment you realize you are not in the audience. You have never been in the audience. You are in the projection booth. You are, and have always been, the one running the film. The universe operates on a simple, elegant, and flawless principle of reflection. Everything and everyone you encounter in your life is a mirror. The world is not happening to you. It is happening for you. It is a perfect, real-time, high-definition feedback system for your own consciousness. It is a loving, if sometimes painfully honest guide, constantly showing you the contents of your own mind and heart. It is showing you the film you are projecting. Imagine you wake up in the morning and look in the bathroom mirror. You see a smudge of dirt on your cheek. What is your reaction? Do you get angry at the mirror? Do you accuse it of being unfair or cruel? Do you try to scrub the smudge off the surface of the glass? Of course not. The thought is absurd. You recognize instantly and without question that the mirror is simply showing you what is true about your own face. You take a warm cloth. You gently wipe your own cheek, and the reflection in the mirror changes instantly and perfectly. This is the simple, profound wisdom we must learn to apply to our entire lives. The world is that mirror. When a person in your life consistently acts with anger or criticism towards you, you are looking in the mirror. The ego's immediate reaction is to get angry at the reflection, to criticize the mirror. But this is as futile as scrubbing the glass. The wise and courageous question is, where is the smudge of anger on my own face? Where am I holding unfelt anger or self-criticism within me that is now being so perfectly mirrored back to me? When you consistently feel unseen, unheard, or unappreciated by others, you are looking in the mirror. The powerless question is, why don't they see me? The powerful question is, where am I not seeing myself? Where am I abandoning my own worth, and therefore projecting a film in which others must play the part of abandoning me too? This mirroring works in several ways. Firstly, the world will mirror back the emotional energy you have suppressed. The universe cannot tolerate a vacuum. The emotions you have disowned, judged as bad, and dammed up within your body must find expression. If you refuse to consciously feel and release your own stored anger, the universe will kindly send you an angry person to act it out for you. The frustrating coworker who seems to be angry for no reason. The critical family member who picks at your every flaw. They are often sacred messengers, showing you the stagnant emotional energy you are carrying. They are divine appointments, inviting you to finally feel your own feelings, to dismantle your own inner dam. Secondly, the world will flawlessly mirror your deepest, most unconscious beliefs about yourself. If you hold a deep core belief that I am not worthy of love, or I will always be abandoned, the projector of your consciousness will cast this story onto the screen of your life. You will attract partners who are unable to commit or who treat you poorly, perfectly reflecting your own inner self-abandonment and confirming your deepest fear. If you believe the world is a hostile, competitive place, the mirror of life will show you scarcity and conflict at every turn. The world is the ultimate yes man to your deepest convictions. It does not argue with your worldview. It simply reflects it back to you with perfect fidelity. This brings us to one of the most challenging and transformative implications of this principle. The people who trigger you the most are your greatest spiritual teachers. The person whose behavior irritates, frustrates, or enrages you more than anyone else is your most potent guru, a master assigned specifically to you by a loving universe. Their behavior is perfectly designed to push on the unhealed, unexamined, and tender parts of your own psyche. The ego's response is to blame, to resent, to wish they would change. The soul's invitation is to shift from a mindset of, "How dare you?" to one of profound, if difficult, gratitude. Thank you for showing me. Thank you for showing me where I am not yet free. Thank you for showing me a part of myself I have disowned. Thank you for revealing to me the unhealed wound that is still running my life. Whatever quality in another person elicits a strong positive or negative emotional charge in you is also present in you in some form. If you are powerfully repelled by someone's perceived arrogance, it is either because there is a disowned part of you that is also arrogant, or because you hold a deep fear of being seen as arrogant, and their behavior triggers this insecurity. If you deeply admire someone's courage and freedom, it is because that same courage and freedom exists as a powerful, untapped potential within you. The world is constantly showing you to yourself. To use this principle as a daily practice is to accelerate your own awakening. Throughout your day, notice when you feel a strong emotional reaction, a flash of anger, a pang of envy, a wave of judgment, a feeling of being wronged. Instead of immediately casting your focus outward, blaming the external trigger, pause. Take a single conscious breath, and first, Own the reaction as yours. This feeling of anger is in me. This sensation of envy is arising in my body. Then, ask the sacred mirror question, what is this situation mirroring back to me about myself? What part of me is this person showing me that I have refused to look at? What unconscious belief of mine is this event so perfectly confirming? To live in this way is to bring an end to the age of blame. Blame is the ego's desperate attempt to wipe the mirror. It is a fundamentally powerless position that keeps you trapped in a cycle of reactivity and resentment. As long as you are blaming the mirror, you are a victim. You are giving all your creative power away to the reflection. The moment you take 100% responsibility for the image being projected, not for the events themselves, but for your inner state that they are reflecting you, reclaim your power. You are no longer the passive audience member. You are the one in the projection booth, with your hand on the film. You realize you can't change the film by shouting at the screen. You can only change it by changing the reel that is playing inside you. This understanding that the world is but a mirror of your own consciousness is the great liberation. It dissolves the illusion of separation between you and your experience. It ends the pointless and draining cycle of blame and resentment. It forces you, with a loving and relentless compassion, to turn your gaze away from the screen and back toward yourself, the source of the show. And in doing so, it incinerates the most disempowering story the ego has ever told, the story that you are a victim. Of all the identities the ego can assume, none is more seductive, more pervasive, and more spiritually corrosive than the identity of the victim. It is the heaviest of all invisible chains, yet we often mistake its weight for a comforting blanket. It is the story that you are at the mercy of a world that is happening to you. It is the core belief that your inner state, your peace, your joy, your sense of well-being is determined by forces outside of yourself, by other people, by your circumstances, by your past, by fate. This is the ultimate superstition, the final ritual of the unenlightened mind, the belief that power lies somewhere else. We must be honest about why this identity is so seductive. The victim gets a secret, bitter payoff. The victim gets to be right. They are the righteous one, the wronged party in the great drama of life. This position carries a strange sense of moral superiority. There is a dark comfort in it. Furthermore, the victim is absolved of the terrifying responsibility of their own power. If your unhappiness is someone else's fault, then you don't have to do the difficult inner work of healing and growth. The ego loves this position. It allows you to remain exactly as you are, forever pointing a finger at the world as the source of your problems. Listen to the very language of victimhood, for it is a deep hypnosis we have all been under. He made me so angry. She ruined my day. This situation is stressing me out. Notice the structure of these common phrases. An external event is credited with the absolute power to create an internal state. This is a profound lie. To break free, we must embrace a new metaphor for our lives. Imagine you are the captain of a great sailing ship. Your inner state, your consciousness, is your vessel. The events of the world are the sea. A victim sees himself as a helpless passenger on this ship. When a strong wind blows from the east, he curses the wind for pushing him west. When a powerful current pulls him south, he shakes his fist at the ocean for thwarting his plans to go north. He sees himself as a powerless pawn, at the mercy of these great external forces. His journey is one of frustration, resentment, and aimless drifting. He is a victim of the sea. Now, imagine the wise captain. The wise captain does not see the wind and the current as his enemies. He does not take them personally. He sees them as powerful, neutral forces to be understood and worked with. He knows that he cannot change the direction of the wind. That is outside his power. But he knows with absolute certainty that he can adjust the angle of his sails. He knows he cannot stop the current, but he knows he can use his rudder to steer within it. The wise captain takes 100% responsibility for his ship and his journey. The wind and the current are not happening to him. They are simply happening. His power lies not in controlling the sea, but in his response to it. He is the master of his ship because he is the master of his response. You are this captain. The actions of others, the turns of fortune, the state of the world, these are the wind and the current. To blame them for your emotional state is to be the drifting captain, forever lost at sea. To reclaim your power is to turn your attention away from the wind and place your hands firmly on your own sails and your own rudder. The sails are your perception, the rudder is your response. And between the wind of stimulus and the rudder of your response, there is a space. This space is the birthplace of all your power. It is the source of all your freedom. For most of our lives, we live as if this space does not exist. A stimulus occurs, someone says something unkind, and we react instantly with anger or hurt. The stimulus and the response are fused together into a single, unconscious event. We live like billiard balls, knocked about by external cues in a chain of predictable, conditioned reactions. The practice of shedding the victim identity is the practice of finding and widening this sacred space. The practice is to create a pause. When the stimulus occurs, the difficult email arrives, the criticism is leveled, the fear arises before the old. Conditioned reaction can hijack you. You do one thing. You take one conscious breath. That's it. In that single deliberate breath, you create a momentary gap, and in that gap lies your entire universe. In that sacred pause, you are no longer a reactor, you become a chooser. You get to choose your response. In that space, you can observe the old, habitual program of anger begin to rise, and you can choose to let it go. You can choose to respond with understanding, or with silence, or with compassion. The event does not determine your experience. Your choice in that sacred space determines your experience. This leads to a radical and liberating truth you must integrate into the very marrow of your bones. No one outside of you has the power to make you feel anything. They can act, they can speak words, they can perform deeds. But the emotional response that arises from those actions is generated 100% within you. It is a product of your own inner projector, your own beliefs, your own stored emotional energy. To grant another person the power to control your inner state is to give away the keys to your own kingdom. It is to make them the god of your reality, and yourself their subject. Today, you take back the keys. Today, you declare your emotional sovereignty. You cease to be a puppet whose strings are pulled by the random words and actions of others. You realize that your peace is your responsibility. Your joy is your responsibility. Your love is your responsibility. This is not a burden. It is the most glorious liberation imaginable. It means you no longer have to wait for the world to change for you to be happy. You no longer have to wait for your partner, your boss, or your parents to behave differently for you to be at peace. Your peace is available right now in your power to choose your response. This transforms the fundamental question you ask of life. The question of the victim is always, why is this happening to me? This question is a dead end. It is a hole you dig for yourself, leading only to self-pity, powerlessness, and resentment. The question of the Creator, the wise captain, is entirely different. It is, what is this situation here to teach me? Or, how can I use this wind to reach my destination? The Creator sees everything as an opportunity for growth. The difficult person is not an adversary. They are a training partner, strengthening your muscles of patience and compassion. The unexpected setback is not a tragedy. It is a course correction from the universe, guiding you toward a better path. By changing the question, you change your entire reality. When you finally and completely let go of the heavy, tattered cloak of the victim, you feel a lightness you may have never known was possible. The scaffolding of blame and resentment that has structured your life dissolves. You are left standing at the helm of your ship, hands steady on the wheel, eyes clear and fixed on the horizon. The sea of life is still vast and unpredictable, but you are no longer afraid. you have reclaimed the power of your response. And from this place of profound self-responsibility and inner sovereignty, a new and exciting possibility emerges. You realize that you are not just here to react to the journey, no matter how wisely. You are here to consciously create it. You can finally begin to create your reality, not from a place of fear or reaction, but from a place of deep stillness and true sovereign intention. Having shed the heavy cloak of the victim and taken the helm of your own ship, the impulse to do something, to take action, becomes very strong. Our world worships at the altar of frantic activity. We have been taught that creation is a function of effort, that success is a product of hustle, that the more we do, the more we will have and be. We measure our days by our to-do lists and our worth by our productivity. We are now going to turn this entire belief system on its head. For the greatest paradox of spiritual law, and the secret known to all masters of reality creation, is this: the most powerful, effective, and miraculous action does not arise from a busy mind and a flurry of activity. It is born from profound stillness. Most of the action taken in the world is a form of running. It is an escape. We stay busy because we are afraid of the silence, afraid of what we might find in the quiet spaces of our own being. We work obsessively because we are driven by a deep-seated fear of lack. We fill every moment with tasks and distractions because we are terrified of the inner emptiness we have been taught to dread. This is action as an anesthetic. It is a frantic, running away from the self. The energy behind it is contracted, desperate, and often chaotic. It creates results. Yes, the world of form is built on this energy, but it also creates burnout, chronic anxiety, and a life devoid of true presence and joy. Furthermore, true inspiration is a quiet visitor. It does not shout over the noise of a frantic mind. It doesn't elbow its way into a schedule packed with meaningless tasks. It whispers in the quiet gaps between our thoughts. If your life has no quiet spaces, if your mind has no moments of rest, you will never hear its guidance. You will be forever operating from your own limited brute force effort, instead of co-creating with the infinite intelligence of the universe. To understand creation from stillness, consider the archer. Imagine an archer in a state of panic. His target is far away, and he believes he must shoot as many arrows as possible, as quickly as possible, to have any chance of hitting it. His breathing is shallow and rapid, his hands tremble. He fumbles with the arrows, notches them awkwardly, and fires them wildly in the general direction of the target. His movements are chaotic, forceful, and inefficient. Most arrows miss entirely. The few that hit the target are off-center. After a few minutes, he is exhausted, his quiver is empty, and he has little to show for it. This is the way of the ego. This is the way of hustle. Now, imagine the Zen master archer. He approaches the firing line with a quiet reverence. His first action is a form of non-action. He breathes deeply. He centers himself, feeling the ground beneath his feet. For a moment, he becomes one with the bow, the arrow, the target, and the space between them. He slowly, deliberately pulls the bowstring back. This action is not frantic. It is powerful and present. In this act of pulling back, he is gathering immense potential energy, all while in a state of profound inner stillness. His gaze is soft, yet completely focused on the center of the target. There is no struggle. For a timeless moment, everything is held in a state of perfect, silent, creative tension. And then, he does not shoot the arrow in an act of violent propulsion. He simply lets it go. The release is an act of surrender, of trust. The arrow flies, silent and true, and embeds itself in the very center of the target. This is creation through stillness. We have been taught that the power is in the forward motion, in the shooting of the arrow. The master knows that the true power is generated in the pulling back, in the silent, focused gathering of energy. Stillness is not emptiness or inactivity. It is the gathering of power. It is the womb of creation. We have been taught that silence is empty, that doing nothing is a waste of valuable time. This is a profound illusion. The silence is not empty, it is full. It is pregnant with all possibility. It is the quantum field before it collapses into form. It is the fertile void from which all true creation is born. Your practice, as a conscious creator, is to intentionally cultivate these moments of non-doing. It is to learn the art of pulling back the bow. This means setting aside time to simply be, without an agenda. To sit and watch the clouds without needing to photograph or label them. To drink a cup of tea without simultaneously checking your phone and planning your afternoon. To take a walk in nature and simply absorb the sights and sounds without turning it into a workout. This is not laziness. This is the sacred act of charging your creative batteries. It is in these moments of receptive stillness that the perfect idea, the elegant solution, the next inspired step will be delivered to you, fully formed. This leads to the crucial distinction between effortful action and inspired action. Effortful action feels like pushing a boulder uphill. It is driven by the mind's shoulds and have-tos. It is born from a sense of lack and urgency. It depletes your energy and leaves you feeling drained. Inspired action feels like flowing with a powerful river. It arises spontaneously from a place of stillness and inner alignment. It feels effortless, joyful, and deeply energizing. When you are engaged in inspired action, you often lose track of time. There is a sense of grace and flow to it. This is because you are no longer acting from the limited resources of your ego. You have become a channel, a conduit for the creative intelligence of the universe to act through you. Think of it as a period of gestation. When you have a desire, you plant the seed of that intention in the fertile ground of consciousness. You do this by feeling the feeling of the wish fulfilled, by aligning with the frequency of your desire, as we have discussed. That is your part. That is the planting. And then, you must allow for an incubation period. This must happen in the dark, in the quiet, in the stillness. You cannot rush it. You cannot keep digging up the seed to see if it is growing. You must create a space of inner stillness, of trust, of non-interference, for the intention to gather energy, to organize the forces of the universe, and to prepare for its birth into the world of form. The first impulse to act that arises from this stillness will be the birth of the intention. It will not feel forced. It will feel like a natural, obvious next step. It might be the sudden urge to call a person you haven't spoken to in years. It might be a flash of insight about a problem you had given up on. It might be a powerful pull to visit a certain place. This is the arrow being released from the bow. It flies true because its trajectory was set in the stillness. When you begin to operate from this place of inner quiet, your relationship with the world undergoes a profound transformation. You are no longer trying to impose your will upon it. Instead, you enter into a state of receptive, intelligent partnership with it. You finally become quiet enough to listen. And when you do, you discover that the universe is always speaking to you. Not in the loud, chaotic language of the mind, but in a silent, elegant language of events, of meaningful coincidences, of perfect and often breathtaking timing. In the stillness, you learn to hear the whispers of synchronicity. When the inner world becomes still, the outer world begins to speak. It does not use the clumsy and limited language of human words. It speaks in the elegant, silent, and deeply personal language of choreographed events. It communicates through meaningful coincidence. This is the language of synchronicity. It is the universe winking at you. It is a series of quiet nods from the divine, confirming that you are seen, that you are heard, and that you are on the right path. To learn to read this language is to move from a life of random chaos to one of magical conversation. The rational mind is trained to dismiss these events as mere coincidence. But there is a vast difference between a coincidence and a synchronicity. A coincidence is random and carries no personal weight. Synchronicity is a coincidence that is pregnant with meaning, a meaning that resonates deeply and personally with the observer. A coincidence is seeing a car that is the same model as your first car. A synchronicity is seeing that same car multiple times in one day, just as you are contemplating a decision that requires you to tap into the youthful courage and optimism you had when you were younger. The event itself is not the point. The meaningful connection woven into the fabric of your personal journey is the point. Think of synchronicity as the universe's guidance system. When you are living in alignment, when you have planted your intentions from a place of stillness and surrendered the outcome, the universe will constantly offer you little signs of confirmation. It will speak to you, not to control you, but to encourage you. These signs are like lighthouses flashing on a dark shore. Imagine you are sailing a vast, unknown ocean at night. You have a general direction you believe is correct, a destination held in your heart, but you cannot see the details of the coastline. A synchronicity is a sudden lighthouse, flashing its beam from the shore exactly where you hoped the shore would be. It doesn't tell you how to navigate every single wave, but it confirms your general trajectory. It says, yes, keep going, you are headed in the right direction. The more of these lighthouses you spot, the more you trust the journey and the captain within, even in the long stretches of darkness between them. Or think of your life as a grand, unfolding symphony. A single, isolated coincidence might seem like a random, stray note. But when you are living in a state of receptive awareness, you begin to see that these are not stray notes at all. They are part of a recurring theme, a beautiful and intelligent motif. The person you randomly meet at a coffee shop who happens to have the exact skill you need, the book that happens to fall off the shelf at the library, opening to a page that answers a question you have been holding for weeks. The song that comes on the radio with the exact lyrics your soul needs to hear. They are all perfectly orchestrated notes in the symphony of your life, composed by a maestro with a far grander and more intricate vision than your conscious mind can comprehend. These synchronicities are always happening. The music is always playing. But for most of our lives, we are too distracted, too busy, too cynical, and too noisy inside to notice them. The cynical mind, conditioned to believe only in what is measurable and repeatable, acts like a thick fog, obscuring the light from the lighthouses. It has a ready-made explanation for everything: confirmation bias, wishful thinking, randomness. If you are determined not to see the magic, the universe will lovingly respect your choice, and the magic will remain invisible to you. To perceive the language of synchronicity, you must cultivate a new state of mind. It is a state of open, curious, and playful awareness, much like that of a small child. A child looks at the world with wonder, expecting magic around every corner. You must be willing to entertain the possibility that the universe is alive, intelligent, and in constant, loving communication with you. You must begin to look at your life not as a dead machine of cause and effect, but as a living poem, rich with metaphor and meaning. You can actively cultivate this conversation. It begins with the principles we have already discussed. You set your intentions from a place of stillness, and then you let go. Synchronicity thrives in the spaciousness created by surrender. A mind that is desperately clutching for an outcome is too tense to notice the subtle clues along the way. But when you trustingly release your desire, you create a vacuum that the universe loves to fill with helpful signs, people, and opportunities. Pay attention to the quiet nudges of your own intuition, that sudden, illogical urge to take a different route home from work or to walk into a bookstore you've never visited before. That quiet whisper that says, "Call that person." These intuitive hits are often the threads that the universe uses to weave its synchronicities. Follow these threads with a sense of playful curiosity and see where they lead. It can be helpful to keep a synchronicity journal. When these meaningful coincidences occur, write them down. Note the event, and more importantly, note the personal meaning it held for you in that moment. As you track these events over time, you will begin to see undeniable patterns emerge. You will build a library of personal evidence that proves you are not living in a random, dead universe, but a responsive, intelligent one. This practice builds unshakable faith, not in a belief system, but in your own direct experience. It is vital to understand that the meaning of a synchronicity is always personal. The universe speaks to you in a language you will uniquely understand. It will use the symbols, songs, numbers, and memories from your own life. Do not look for a universal dictionary of signs that says a certain animal or number always means a specific thing. Instead, when a meaningful event occurs, turn inward and ask your own heart, what does this mean to me? How does this feel? The true meaning is always found in the resonance, the aha moment of recognition within your own being. When the universe sends you a sign and you notice it, acknowledge it. You can say thank you out loud or simply feel a wave of gratitude in your heart. This simple act of acknowledgement creates a powerful, positive feedback loop. You are reinforcing the connection. You are telling the universe, I am listening. I see what you did there. I'm paying attention. And the universe, like any good conversational partner who feels they are being heard, will begin to speak more clearly and more often. The more you listen, the more you will be given to listen to. Your life will transform from a monologue of your own mind's worries into a beautiful, unfolding dialogue with the divine. To live in this magical conversation, to read the poetry of the universe written in the language of synchronicity, requires a certain state of being. You must be in harmony with the current of life itself. If you are constantly fighting the flow, if you are building dams of resistance against the present moment, you are creating too much inner noise to hear the subtle whispers or see the gentle signs. You cannot be at war with life and expect to understand its poetry. Therefore, to become fluent in this new language, we must first learn the wisdom of the river. We have learned to listen for the subtle language of the universe, the language of synchronicity. To become fluent in this language, to live in a state of ongoing magical dialogue with life, requires a fundamental shift in our way of being. We must cease to be at war with the world and learn to move in harmony with it. We must learn the wisdom of the river. Our minds have been trained to see life as a series of problems to be solved. We stand on the solid ground of our intellect and look out at the landscape of our existence as a series of obstacles to be overcome, territories to be conquered, and goals to be achieved. This is the land-based perspective. It is a perspective of control, of struggle, of hacking our way through the jungle of life with the machete of our willpower. It is exhausting. The river invites us to a different perspective entirely. It invites us to step off the solid, rigid bank of the mind and into the fluid, dynamic, and powerful current of life itself. It teaches us to stop being warriors fighting against life and to become graceful swimmers, or even the water itself, using the immense power of the current to carry us forward. Let us sit by the banks of this metaphorical river and learn its profound secrets. The first and most important lesson the river teaches is the wisdom of non-resistance. The river never fights. Watch it on its journey to the sea. It encounters a great, unmoving boulder, a massive obstacle placed directly in its path. Does the river rear up in anger? Does it spend years battering itself against the stone, trying to smash it into submission? It does not. The thought is absurd. Without any judgment or frustration, the river simply parts. It flows around the boulder, caressing its edges, finding the open channels on either side, and seamlessly rejoins itself on the other side, its essential nature unchanged, its journey uninterrupted. Now, consider how we meet the boulders in our own lives. The difficult person, the unexpected illness, the financial setback. We tense up, we resist. We mentally and emotionally batter ourselves against the unchangeable reality of the situation, screaming that the boulder should not be there. We create immense suffering for ourselves, not from the existence of the boulder, but from our violent resistance to it. The river teaches us a wiser way, the way of yielding, the way of flexibility, the way of flowing around the obstacles we cannot move. It teaches us that sometimes the most powerful action is to soften, to find the opening, and to let life guide us around the blockage. The second lesson is the wisdom of the path of least resistance. This is a phrase that has been misunderstood to mean laziness or taking the easy way out. The river shows us its true meaning. The river flows downhill not because it is lazy, but because it is intelligent. It is in perfect alignment with the fundamental laws of gravity. It doesn't waste a single drop of energy trying to flow uphill. It follows the natural gradient of the landscape. To follow the path of least resistance means to align yourself with the natural gradient of your own life force. It means learning to sense where the energy is flowing with ease and grace in your life, and where it is blocked and contracted. It is the courage to move toward what feels open, expansive, and joyful, and to flow around what feels tight, forced, and draining, even if the mind tells you that the hard path is the more virtuous one. It is not about avoiding difficulty. It is about avoiding struggle. This brings us to a crucial distinction: the difference between effort and struggle. To live like the river is not to be passive. There is immense effort in the river's flow, but there is no struggle. Imagine a skilled swimmer moving in a strong current, heading downstream. He is still using his muscles. He is still expending energy. He is putting forth effort. But because his effort is aligned with the direction of the current, the river itself is assisting him, multiplying his power. His movement feels graceful, purposeful, and even joyful. He is in the zone. This is effort. Now, imagine that same swimmer turning around and trying to swim directly against the current. He may use 10 times the amount of muscular force, his face contorted in a mask of exertion. Every stroke is a battle against the fundamental nature of the river. He makes little progress and quickly becomes exhausted. This is struggle. For your entire life, you may have been glorifying struggle, believing that its presence proved you were working hard and that you were virtuous. Now you are invited to see struggle for what it is, a sign of misalignment. It is a red flag telling you that you are trying to swim against the current of your own life. The goal is not to eliminate effort, but to eliminate struggle. It is to learn to place your effort in the direction of the flow, so that you are always supported by the greater power of life itself. The third lesson of the river is the wisdom of a single, unwavering purpose. The river may meander for thousands of miles. It may twist through deep canyons, spread out into wide, slow-moving deltas, or cascade down violent waterfalls. Its path may seem chaotic and unpredictable, but its ultimate direction is never in doubt. Every drop of water is destined for the sea. Its singular purpose is to merge back with its source. This teaches us the power of holding a deep, soul-level intention. When you are clear on your sea weather, it is peace, love, truth, or a creative purpose, you can trust the meandering path of your life. You can navigate the detours and the slow periods with patience, knowing that every twist and turn is ultimately leading you home. You don't need to control every bend in the river, as long as you are surrendered to its ultimate destination. Finally, the river teaches us the wisdom of constant change. Heraclitus said that you can never step in the same river twice. It is always in motion, always new, a perfect embodiment of the law of impermanence. The river teaches us the folly of clinging. We try to grasp moments of joy, hold on to relationships, or freeze our lives in a state of security, like trying to scoop up water and hold it in our fists. It is impossible. The river teaches us to open our hands, to let life flow through us without grasping. It teaches us that our only stability is not to be found in fixed, external circumstances, but in our own internal ability to flow with the changes. Our security comes from becoming the river itself, ever moving, ever new, and unafraid of what is around the next bend. To live like the river is a practice. It begins by cultivating a sensitivity to the current. In any given situation, in any choice you have to make, pause and ask your body, your inner compass, where is the flow? Does this path feel like swimming with the current or against it? Does this feel open and effortless, or tight and full of struggle? Learn to trust the feeling of flow. Practice yielding. When you meet an obstacle, instead of immediately tensing and pushing, consciously soften your body and your mind. Ask, What would the river do here? Trust the meander. When your life seems to be taking an unexpected detour, resist the mind's panic and trust that this valley is a necessary part of the journey to your sea. To truly live like the river, we must embody its ultimate wisdom, the wisdom that contains all the others. The river is not attached to any particular part of its journey. It does not congratulate itself for flowing through a beautiful sunlit meadow, nor does it berate itself for passing through a dark, polluted industrial zone. It is not attached to being a narrow, rushing stream or a wide, slow-moving delta. Its entire being is a continuous act of letting go, of moving toward its final dissolution into the great ocean. Its joy is not in the destination, but in the flowing itself. This brings us to the profound spiritual art of releasing our attachment to the results of our journey, of detaching from the fruit of our actions. To live with the wisdom of the river is to understand the beauty of flow. But there is one final, great lesson the river teaches, the one that allows for its effortless and majestic journey to the sea. The river is not attached to any particular part of its journey. It does not cling to the beautiful valley or despair in the dark canyon. Its entire existence is a continuous act of letting go. We, however, have been taught to do the opposite. We have been taught that the entire value of an action lies not in the action itself, but in its result, in the fruit it bears. This single belief is the hidden root of the vast majority of our anxiety, stress, and disappointment. We now come to the sacred art of breaking this chain, the practice of detachment from the fruit of action. Consider the energy of your own life. When you undertake a project, begin a new relationship, or pursue a goal, where is your attention? Is it on the task at hand, on the present moment of doing, or is it projected into an imagined future, constantly checking to see if you have succeeded yet? For most of us, our lives are a continuous and exhausting tightrope walk over a canyon of potential failure. We are so focused on reaching the other side, the successful outcome, that we feel no joy in the simple, miraculous act of walking the rope. When things seem to be going well, we feel a fragile, anxious hope. When we encounter a setback, we are plunged into despair. Peace is impossible in this state, because our inner well-being is held hostage by a future we cannot control. There is a profound spiritual paradox at play here. The more desperately we cling to a desired outcome, the more we energetically repel it. Your attachment, your neediness, your fear of failure, these all create a contracted, chaotic frequency. You are broadcasting the signal of lack, the vibration of "I don't have it yet," which can only attract more of the experience of not having. You are trying to force the universe's hand, and the universe, like the river, does not respond to force. It responds to flow, to trust, to surrender. The desperate need for a specific fruit poisons the very tree that is meant to bear it. The ancient sages of India, in the timeless text the Bhagavad Gita, gave a name to the profound art of liberating oneself from this bondage. They called it karma yogeth, path of selfless or desireless action. It is the secret to finding deep peace in the midst of worldly activity, and to acting with immense power without generating inner turmoil or negative karma. At its heart is one of the most powerful and liberating statements ever offered to humanity. You have a right to the action, but never to its fruits. Let us unpack the immense wisdom in this single sentence. You have a right to the action. This first part affirms your power, your dignity, and your responsibility. You are not meant to be a passive observer of life. You are here to act, to engage, to create, to love, to serve. You are meant to bring the fullness of your presence, your skill, and your heart to every task you undertake. This is your sacred domain. The action itself is your right and your privilege, but never to its fruits. This is the liberation. This is the key that unlocks your chains. The results of your action, whether you receive praise or blame, profit or loss, success or failure, are not, and have never been, in your control. The outcome of any event, is the product of an infinite and impossibly complex web of intersecting forces, past actions, and the choices of others. To believe that you, with your limited egoic self, are the sole creator of the outcome is an act of supreme arrogance. The fruits of action belong to the whole, to the universe, to God, however you wish to name that larger intelligence. Your part is the action. The universe's part is the result. Karma yoga is the wisdom to stay in your own domain and not trespass into the domain of the divine. This understanding transforms every action from a transaction into an offering. A transaction is when you do something in order to get something. An offering is when you do something as an act of love for the sake of the action itself. Every task, whether it is writing a novel, washing the dishes, caring for a child, or building a company, can be elevated from a chore into a ceremony. You perform the action as a gift to the flow of life itself, with no thought of reward or recognition. The action itself becomes the prayer. The action itself becomes the fulfillment. Let us return to our gardener. Imagine a gardener whose entire self-worth and happiness are attached to the size of his harvest. He toils in the garden, but his mind is constantly in the future. He is counting the buds, worrying about a single cloudy day, fretting about insects. He feels no joy in the feeling of the cool earth in his hands, no peace in the meditative rhythm of watering the plants. These actions are merely means to an end. A small harvest will devastate him, confirming his sense of failure. A large harvest will give him only a fleeting moment of relief before he begins to worry about the next season's crop. His beautiful garden, a potential sanctuary, has become his personal field of anxiety. Now, consider the karma yogi gardener. He loves the act of gardening itself. He delights in the beauty of a single unfurling leaf. He finds a deep sense of peace in nurturing the soil. He brings the same care, love, and attention to his work as the attached gardener, perhaps even more so, because his mind is not distracted by the anxious chatter of what if. He knows he can only tend the garden. He cannot command the yield. The weather, the mysterious life within the soil, the journey of the bisa, 1,000 factors beyond his control, will co-create the final harvest. He performs his part with love, and he accepts the results, whatever they may be, with equanimity and grace. For him, the true fruit was already received in the joy and presence of the act of gardening. His garden is a place of peace. This is a practice you can begin today, in your own life. Before you begin any task, whether it is making an important phone call or cleaning your home, take a moment. First, clarify your intention. Your intention is not about the outcome. It is about the quality of being you will bring to the action. For instance, my intention is to have this conversation with an open heart and to listen with my full presence. Then, consciously release your expectation about the outcome. You might say to yourself, I will speak my truth with love. How the other person receives it is not in my domain. I release it. Then, as you engage in the action, immerse yourself completely in the process. Fall in love with the doing, not the dream of the done. If you are writing, feel the sensation of your fingers on the keyboard. If you are exercising, feel the magnificent power in your muscles. If you are with your child, be fully there, not thinking about the perfect parent you are trying to be. Your mind, through lifelong habit, will inevitably jump to the future and begin to worry about the results. Is this good enough? Will they like it? What will happen if I fail? The practice is to notice this mental activity without judgment, like a cloud passing in the sky, and to gently but firmly bring your attention back to the present moment, to the task at hand. Come back to this single step, this single breath, this single word. With this practice, you must redefine success. Success is no longer an external result. Success becomes an internal state. At the end of an action, the only question that matters is not, did I get what I wanted, but did I bring my full presence and love to what I did? If the answer is yes, the action was a total and complete success, regardless of what happened next. You have honored your part of the divine contract. When you cease to measure your life by the fruits you can accumulate, by the praise you can garner, by the goals you can achieve, a profound and beautiful shift occurs. You are no longer impoverished by what you lack. You are no longer living in a future that may never come. Instead, by bringing your full attention back to the process, to the action, to the now, you begin to discover a richness that has been here all along, a wealth that cannot be measured in any currency but presence. You begin to understand that true wealth is not something you acquire from the fruits of your labor. It is a state of being you uncover in the labor itself. Having learned to act for the sake of the action itself, detaching from the hunger for a specific outcome, we begin to notice a quiet revolution taking place within us. The frantic energy of becoming starts to settle. The desperate chase for the fruits of success, validation, and acquisition begins to feel foreign, like a game we no longer remember why we were playing. This opens up a profound question. If wealth is not to be found in the fruits we can accumulate, then what is true wealth? We live in a civilization that has mastered the art of accumulation and forgotten the art of experience. We have been conditioned to believe that wealth is measured by what you have. The bigger the house, the faster the car, the larger the bank account, the more exotic the travels, the richer the person. Yet we all know people who have all these things and are living in a state of quiet, constant misery. They eat at the finest restaurants while anxiously checking their phones. They stand before the world's most beautiful vistas, yet their minds are 1,000 miles away, lost in worries about business deals or past regrets. They possess the world, but they experience none of it. This is the great poverty of our time, a poverty of presence. We are accumulating unprecedented amounts of stuff, possessions, information, data, experiences, but we have lost the capacity to truly receive any of it. Our hands are full, but our hearts are empty. We must redefine wealth. We must shift its definition from an external measure to an internal one. True wealth is not the breadth of your possessions, but the depth of your presence. It is not what you have, but how fully you are here for what you have. It is not the quantity of your experiences, but the quality of your attention you bring to each one. Let us explore this with a metaphor. Imagine a man who owns a magnificent library. It is a room of breathtaking beauty, with floor-to-ceiling shelves filled with priceless, leather-bound first editions. The air smells of old paper and rich mahogany. He has spent a lifetime and a fortune acquiring these treasures. He possesses the collected wisdom of the ages, but he is a very busy man. His days are consumed with managing his vast fortune, with acquiring more books, and with ensuring his collection is properly insured and cataloged. He walks through his library, his eyes scanning the spines, feeling a sense of pride in his ownership, but he never has the time to actually take a book from the shelf, sit down, and read it. He possesses 1,000 stories, but he has experienced none. He is the curator of his own unlived life. Now, imagine another person. They live in a small, simple room. On their table sits a single worn, dog-eared paperback book borrowed from a public library. Every evening they sit and read this one book. They read slowly, savoring each sentence. The characters become their dear friends. The ideas in the book challenge and expand their mind. They are so absorbed in the story that the world around them fades away. They are fully present with the world contained within those pages. This person possesses almost nothing, yet they are living the story completely. Now, who is truly the richer of the two? The one who possesses 1,000 unread books, or the one who has fully inhabited the world of a single book? The answer is obvious. Wealth is not in the having, it is in the experiencing. And the currency of experience is not money, it is your presence. It is the sacred, undivided attention you bring to a moment. This principle applies to every corner of your life. A simple meal of bread and cheese, eaten slowly, with full attention to the taste and texture, is a richer experience than a 10-course feast at a Michelin-starred restaurant, eaten with a distracted mind and a divided heart. 1 hour of focused, loving, undistracted play with a child, where you are fully present on the floor with them, is a greater treasure than an entire weekend spent physically in the same house but mentally absent, lost in your phone and your worries. A single, heartfelt conversation, where you listen with your entire being, is more nourishing to the soul than attending 100 parties filled with superficial chatter. Your attention is the most sacred and valuable resource you have. Where you place your attention, you place your life. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. We live in a world that is engaged in a constant war for this resource. The chattering of your own mind, the endless notifications from your devices, the societal pressure to multitask, these are all thieves of your true wealth. They steal your presence, and in doing so, they steal the richness of your life, leaving you with a hollow pile of unexperienced moments. The practice of cultivating true wealth is the practice of reclaiming your attention. It is the practice of bringing a state of sacred, loving presence to the ordinary moments of your life. Let us take the simple act of drinking a cup of tea. For most, this is a mundane, unconscious act, done while doing 5 other things. But you can transform it into a profound meditation on wealth. The next time you have a cup of tea, or coffee, or even water, perform the act as if it were the most important ceremony in the world. First, feel the weight and warmth of the mug in your hands. Notice its texture, its shape. Bring it to your face and notice the aroma of the steam. See the rich color of the liquid. When you take the first sip, do not just swallow it. Let the liquid rest on your tongue for a moment. Notice its taste, its temperature, its texture. Feel it as it travels down your throat and warms your belly. For these few minutes, let the cup of tea be your entire universe. If the mind wanders to your to-do list or a past conversation, gently guide it back to the sensation of the tea. In this simple, present act, you can find more richness, more life, more peace than in 1,000 business deals conducted with a frantic mind. You have invested the sacred currency of your full attention and received the magnificent dividend of pure, unadulterated experience. This is true wealth. When you begin to practice this, you discover that the entire world is a treasure chest, and you have been ignoring the jewels that lie at your feet every single day. We chase peak experience exotic vacations, thrilling adventures, because we have lost the ability to see the sacredness in the ordinary. The enlightened mind does not see an ordinary world. It sees a world shimmering with miracle, because it brings the extraordinary quality of its presence to every seemingly ordinary moment. The feeling of sunlight on your skin is a miracle. The intricate pattern of a single leaf is a miracle. The sound of a loved one's breath as they sleep beside you is a miracle of unimaginable preciousness. Your own heartbeat is a miracle. Your life becomes a treasure hunt for these moments of deep presence. This state of presence gives rise to the truest indicator of a wealthy soul: gratitude. You can only be truly grateful for that which you are truly present for. When you are fully present for the taste of your food, gratitude arises naturally. When you are fully present for the beauty of a sunset, gratitude arises naturally. When you are fully present for the kindness of a stranger, gratitude arises naturally. Gratitude is not a mental exercise of counting your blessings. It is the emotional resonance of a heart that is awake to the richness of the now. This profound richness of presence has another magical quality. Because it can only be found in this exact moment, it pulls you out of the frantic, imaginary stream of psychological time. When you are fully absorbed in a single experience, the mind, which lives and feeds on the past and future, goes quiet. In a moment of deep presence, the ticking clock seems to stop. The burdens of your history and the anxieties about your future dissolve. You step out of time and into a timeless dimension. You touch a state of being known as the eternal now, and it is here, in this timeless, ever-present now, that the ultimate wealth and the ultimate freedom are finally discovered. You have learned to find wealth not in what you possess, but in the depth of your presence. And in the heart of deep presence, you made a discovery. You found a place where time seems to stop, where the frantic rush of becoming falls away, and there is only the simple, profound, and peaceful state of being. We must now explore this dimension, for it is not a fleeting experience to be had only in meditation. It is your true home. It is the only reality there is. This is the dimension of the eternal now. Our entire sense of self and our entire world of suffering are built upon a grand illusion. That illusion is psychological time. We have been taught to believe that our life is a long, linear journey stretching from a distant past to a far-off future, and that this present moment is merely one insignificant tick-tock on that vast timeline. This is the most profound hypnosis under which humanity labors. We must begin by making a crucial distinction between two kinds of time. There is clock time and there is psychological time. Clock time is a useful and necessary tool for navigating the world of form. We use it to set appointments, to cook a meal, to build a bridge. It is practical. Psychological time, however, is a disease of the mind. It is the mind's compulsive need to dwell in a past that no longer exists and to project itself into a future that has no reality. This is the source of all neurosis. Let us look at the past. You believe you are haunted by your past, that its events have a power over you now. But where is this past? Can you go to it? Can you touch it? You cannot. The past does not exist. All that exists in this moment are memory traces in your mind, which are thoughts happening now. And there may be emotional charges in your body, which are sensations happening now. You are not haunted by the past. You are haunted by your present moment thinking about the past. You are reanimating a ghost with the power of your own present moment attention, and then you are frightened by the very ghost you have created. Now, let us look at the future. You believe you must plan for it, worry about it, and strive toward it. But where is this future? It is a phantom. It exists only as a mental projection, a story you are telling yourself now. You spend your life chasing a phantom of happiness or running from a phantom of disaster, all of which are nothing more than thoughts happening in this moment. The future never arrives. When it comes, it doesn't arrive as the future. It arrives as another now. And typically when it does, you are not there for it, because your mind has already projected a new future to obsess over. So if the past is a memory trace and the future is a mental projection, what is left? Only this, only now. Your entire life, from the moment of your birth to the moment of your death, unfolds in one single, indivisible, and ever-present moment, now. It has always been now. When you remember your childhood, you are doing it in the now. When you dream of your retirement, you are doing it in the now. You have never, not for a single instant, taken a breath, had a thought, or felt a feeling outside of this timeless now. Let us return to our metaphor of the projector and the screen. The screen is the pure, empty, ever-present now. It is the silent, unchanging canvas of reality. The mind is a projector that is constantly playing two films onto this screen. The first is the tragedy or comedy of the past. The second is the suspense, thriller, or romance of the future. We have been so completely hypnotized by the flickering images on the screen that we have forgotten the existence of the screen itself. We laugh and cry with the characters in the film, believing we are the main character, believing the story is real. The great spiritual practice of living in the now is to turn off the projector. It is to withdraw your attention from the mental films of past and future and to become aware of the screen itself, the silent, alive, spacious presence of this moment, which is your true self. We must correct our inner map of reality. We have been taught that time is a line. This is the illusion. Time is not a line. It is a single, eternal point. It is always this point. The mind creates the illusion of a line by stringing together memories and projections, but the reality is always only this one dimensionless point of now. So how do we access this reality? How do we step out of the imaginary stream of time and into the ocean of the now? You are already here. You cannot not be here. The only question is, are you aware of it? The practice is not one of getting somewhere else, but of becoming fully present right where you are. The primary portal into the now is your own body. Your mind can travel to the past and future. Your body can only exist now. Therefore, to anchor yourself in the now, you must anchor yourself in your body. Right now, bring your attention inside. Feel the subtle energy, the aliveness, pulsating in your hands. Can you feel it? It is not a thought. It is a direct sensation. Now feel the aliveness in your feet, your legs, your arms, your torso. This inner energy field is your anchor in the present moment. Your mind cannot be thinking about the past and feeling your inner body at the same time. The feeling of aliveness within you is the doorway out of the prison of thought. Another portal is your breath. Your breath is always happening now. It cannot happen yesterday or tomorrow. To bring your full attention to the feeling of one single breathy air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and then the release as it leaves your body is to be completely present. Each breath is a new beginning, a reset button for your awareness. Follow one full breath from its beginning to its end. In that single simple cycle, you have experienced a lifetime in the eternal now. A third portal is through your senses, but used in a new way. Look around you, but do not allow your mind to label what you see. See the colors, the shapes, the textures, but drop the mental names chair, wall, tree. Just receive the raw visual data. Listen to the sounds of your environment, but do not label them car, bird, voice. Just hear the raw vibration, the texture of the sound. When you drop the mental labels, the thinking mind goes quiet, because its primary function is to name and categorize. Without labels, you are left with pure, thought-free perception. You are seeing and hearing directly from the stillness of being, not through the noisy filter of your mind. When you begin to inhabit the now in this way, you make a profound discovery. Problems cannot survive here. A problem, by its very nature, is a mental construct that requires time. A problem means you are here, you want to be there, and the story of the gap between the two is the problem. It is a story about the future. In the now, there are no problems. There are only situations that you deal with or accept as they arise. Are you hungry now? You eat. Is there a bill to be paid now? You pay it. There is only the action or the acceptance required by this moment. The entire weight of what we call stress is the burden of a future you are trying to solve in your head. In the now, that burden dissolves. This is also where true intelligence resides. The mind, with its conditioned, second-hand knowledge, is not the source of true creativity or wisdom. True intelligence, inspiration, and elegant solutions arise from the stillness, from the spacious awareness of the now. When you are present, you are connected to the greater intelligence of the universe. The right answer, the perfect idea, the creative impulse, will arise not from frantic thought, but from the quiet space of no thought. Finally, to live in the now is to touch your own eternal nature. You, the awareness, the consciousness that is looking through your eyes, were never born and will never die in the way the mind imagines. You are the timeless consciousness, the eternal screen upon which the temporary film of a single lifetime unfolds. To be fully present in the now is to experience yourself not as the mortal character in the film, but as the immortal, deathless awareness that is watching it. It is to taste your own eternity. When you inhabit the now, your entire relationship with life is transformed. The division between the sacred and the profane dissolves. Every action, when it arises from the stillness of presence and is performed with your full attention in the now, is no longer just a mundane task. It becomes a meditation. It becomes an act of worship. Washing the dishes when done with full presence, can be as profound a spiritual practice as sitting in a temple. Answering an email, when done from a place of centered awareness, can be an act of love. Every step, every breath, every word, when grounded in the reality of the present moment, is no longer just an action. It becomes a living ritual. We have journeyed far together, through the labyrinth of the mind, past the ghosts of memory and the phantoms of the future. We have navigated the turbulent river of emotion and learned to listen to the silent language of the universe. We have stood in the timeless, sacred dimension of the eternal now. And here, at the very end of this long and winding road, we make the most startling and beautiful discovery of all. There was nowhere to go. The destination was the point from which we started. The treasure we were seeking was the one who was doing the seeking. The search is over. You have arrived. For your entire life, you may have identified with the noble and painful identity of the spiritual seeker. It is a subtle and powerful role, but to be a seeker is to presuppose lack. It is to believe that what you are looking for, peace, love, enlightenment, is not already here, in its absolute fullness. The identity of the seeker was the final and most transparent veil separating you from yourself. It is time now to let that identity fall away. You are not the one who seeks the light. You are the light that was pretending to be lost in the darkness for the sheer adventure of finding its own way home. Let us look back on the journey, not as a series of lessons you have learned, but as a series of reminders of who you have always been. You saw that you were living an invisible script, performing a role you did not write. Now you understand that you are not the actor, nor the script. You are the vast, silent awareness in which the entire play of life is written, performed, and witnessed. You are the stillness from which all true stories emerge. You spent years collecting maps to the forest, studying their details, believing that knowledge would lead you to the truth. Now you realize that you are not the map reader. You are the forest. You are the living, breathing, untamable territory of reality itself, wild, sacred, and completely whole. You learn to quiet the mind and listen for the signal from the compass within. Now you know that you are not just the one who has the compass. You are the true north. Your own silent being is the unwavering orientation point of peace, the constant amidst all change. You saw the tyranny of the thinking mind, the paranoid king ruling from a throne of fear. Now you rest in your own silent sovereignty as the emperor, watching the frantic activities of the mind with a compassionate and knowing amusement, fully aware that it is a servant, not a master, and has no real power over the vast peace of your empire. You learned the wisdom of the river, to flow around obstacles and to surrender to a current greater than yourself. Now you understand that your ultimate nature is not even the river, but the great, silent ocean of consciousness to which all rivers return. You are both the source and the destination, the alpha and the omega of your own journey. You realized that the world was a flawless mirror, reflecting back to you the contents of your own consciousness. Now you see the final truth behind the mirror. You see that there is no separation at all. The mirror and the face are one. The seer and the seen are one. The universe is not mirroring you. The universe is you, experiencing yourself from an infinite number of perspectives. You learned the secret of the Zen archer, that all powerful action arises from stillness. Now you no longer need to practice this as a technique. You have become the stillness itself. Your very being is the silent, potent field from which all graceful and effective action effortlessly arises. For millennia, humanity has built great cathedrals, temples, mosques, and pyramids, believing that God, that the sacred, resided within those stone walls. This was a beautiful outward symbol of an inner truth that has now awakened within you. You no longer need to go to a temple, for you have realized that your own body is the living temple. The intelligence of the universe is not in a distant heaven. It is pulsating in every one of your 30 trillion cells. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The Holy of Holies is the silent space of your own heart. For ages we have searched for truth in ancient scriptures, in holy books bound in leather and written in ink. But you have now discovered a text that is far more alive and immediate. Your own breath is the most sacred scripture ever written. Each inhale is the first chapter, a receiving of life, a yes to the universe. Each exhale is the final chapter, a letting go, a surrender back to the source. In, out. This simple, silent rhythm is the eternal teaching of creation and dissolution, of giving and receiving, of life and death. To be fully present with one single cycle of your breath is to understand every holy book ever composed. And we have believed that we must make offerings, that we must perform complex rituals of sacrifice to appease the divine. But you have now discovered the only offering that has ever truly mattered. It is not incense, nor gold, nor elaborate prayer. The most precious and holy offering you can possibly make is your own undivided presence. To offer your full, loving attention to another person as they speak is the ultimate act of worship. To offer your complete presence to a simple task is to turn it into a sacrament. To offer your awareness to this present moment, just as it is to give the gift of God back to God. Every sensation you experience is a form of communion. The feeling of warm water on your hands as you wash the dishes, the taste of fresh fruit, the touch of a loved one's hand on your own. This is the universe experiencing its own magnificent creation through your senses. To be fully present with sensation is to be in direct, holy communion with the divine. And so, we arrive at the final understanding. There are no more rituals to perform. There are no more techniques to master. There is nothing to fix. There is nowhere to get to. There is no one you need to become. You, in your simple, ordinary, magnificent being, are the culmination of the entire spiritual search. The way you walk across a room can be a sacred pilgrimage. The way you eat your food can be a holy sacrament. The way you listen to the song of a bird or the wail of a siren can be a profound prayer. The way you engage with your work, whatever it may be, can be your worship. There is no longer a division between your meditation cushion and your life. Your life is your meditation. The ceremony is your life, unfolding perfectly in this moment. You are, and have always been, the living ritual. And so, the journey of words comes to a close. We have walked a long path together, from the outer world of ritual and noise to the inner world of stillness and knowing. But the end of these words is not an end. It is a beginning. It is the moment you step from the raft onto the shore, ready to walk the path on your own 2 feet. The pointers have shown you the direction. Now, you must simply walk. If you are to take only one thing from our time together, let it be this. Let this understanding be the new foundation upon which you build your life, the quiet truth to which you return when the world becomes loud again. You are the temple. You do not need to journey to a holy land, for the ground you stand on is holy. You do not need to enter a sacred building, for your own body is the most sacred space in the universe, a living, breathing sanctuary for the divine. Your breath is the prayer. You do not need to recite ancient words or complex mantras. The simple, rhythmic, unconscious flow of your breath is the most profound prayer there is. The inhale, a receiving of life. The exhale, a letting go in trust. It is the eternal hymn of being. Your presence is the offering. You do not need to burn incense or sacrifice valuables. The most precious gift you can offer to life, to another person, to God, is your own full, undivided, and loving attention. In every moment you choose to be present, you are making the highest offering. You have unlearned the need to seek outside yourself. You have seen the fallacy of the maps and discovered the compass within. You have felt the immense relief of laying down the heavy burden of becoming and have found the effortless peace of simply being. You have ended the war with your mind, your emotions, and your reality, and have stepped into a life of graceful, intelligent partnership with the flow of what is. You have come home to the only place you have ever truly been, this timeless present moment. These words were only fingers pointing to the moon. Do not cling to the finger. Let them dissolve. Let the concepts go. Let the metaphors fade. They have served their purpose. The real teaching was never in what you have heard. It is in the silence that is listening. It is in the stillness that follows this final word. This silence is not empty. It is alive. It is intelligent. It is you. Listen to it. What is it telling you right now?